understand it.
And here we are, staring at the past, forgetting all so fast why we have walked away. And here we are, reshaping our past, wishing this could last and flaming in our heads, the facts we know lay. And here we are, staring at the past, forgetting all so fast why we have walked away. And here we are, reshaping our past, and wishing this could last and fading in our heads, the fakes we know lay.
We left ourselves in the dark. So tell me this, we left a piece of what they felt. Will we have a lot to lose from lying to ourselves? All the time you said to me the feeling that you felt. We lost it, we lost it. Can we get back the love we had? Get back the love we had. Oh, we love, we won't be left. Get back.
What the fuck was up, everybody? Wide like Putin in this bitch. I'm wide like Putin in this bitch. Good morning, revolution. Good morning, revolution. Good morning, revolution. Good morning, revolution.
So tell me this, we left a piece of what they felt. Will we have a lot to lose from lying to ourselves? All the time you said to me the feeling that you felt. We lost it, we lost it. Can we get back the love we had? Get back the love we
Good morning, Revolution. How's everybody doing on this fine Thursday? So let me tell y'all what just happened. Basically, today I got interviewed by the Platypus people. It was a great interview. Did a great interview. And yeah, that's what I was doing today pretty much. And we've got a lot to cover. But guys, do we have a mournful emote? Do we have like an emote to give condolences? Do we have any kind of emote like that? Because guys, tomorrow, the 48 hours are going to be passing. And I received a privacy complaint on one of my videos. And YouTube said that after 48 hours, they're going to see if there was a private... I don't believe there was a privacy problem because I just showed a YouTube video that's on YouTube. But, you know, I was told that my YouTube channel is going to get deleted tomorrow. So, guys, this is going to be probably the last stream ever. Apparently, that's what I've been told. That's just what that's the news that I've been told, and that was relayed to me, and I don't know, there's nothing I can do about it, right? So, yeah. So, I just had to get this stream in, which is going to be the last stream of all time. Guys, we're going to have a lot of fun today, okay? Because we're going to be covering some Jason on Ruhe today, because there's some interesting developments that's been going on, okay? Interesting developments. And ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something else that's an interesting development, if you've ever heard one, right? And it's basically that, guys, this title was clickbait. I'm sorry, Putin did not announce the implementation of Russian socialism yet, but like it's kind of like that, you know what I mean? But yeah, this is a clickbait ass title. Sorry to false alarm. I'm just kidding. No, there's actually big news. It's actually big fucking news because he met with the Communist Party leader Gennady Zyuganov, and Putin said some really interesting things. All right, we're gonna cover that. Okay, so he pretty much did announce it actually. All right, but it's like half clickbait, right? Anyway, guys. Some things on the itinerary today. I have a lot on my palette. I have a lot on my palette that I have to be doing this month. So, guys, my streams have not been that long, especially this week. They've been kind of lacking and they've been really late. And I get it. I've been lacking. I've been lacking a ton. And, you know, growth should be way higher than it is right now. It's my own horrible mistakes that are to blame. Only me. I'll do self-criticism. All right? I procrastinate my streams because I focus too much on my reading and writing shit and stuff. I also been procrastinating the streams a ton. General, you know, my sleep schedule's been getting fucked up because, you know, I'm working out too late at night and shit. Overall, it's a disaster. I have to get back on my feet. Part of that is going to be churning out more videos every day, including tomorrow. I have that new intro that I got, and I'm going to commit to growing this YouTube channel. But however, like, I'll tell you the reason why I've been discouraged a little bit, right? I will tell you what's been discouraging me just a little bit, and it's Jackson's ban. Jackson's banned from YouTube, and the way that they've been like after Jackson has kind of discouraged me because I'm thinking like, look how much Jackson grew, right? Imagine if I grew like that, right? They would just ban me, and it would just all go to waste, you know? So I have to get out of this like bitchy mentality, and I have to fucking beat myself out of that mentality. I need to motivate myself more and kind of get on my feet, because it doesn't matter what platform I'm on. I got to grow infrared at all costs. I got to grow this at all costs, and it doesn't matter what platform I'm on, right? But that is something that has kind of discouraged me, and I think that's probably intentional, maybe. I mean, I doubt they even know who I am, right? But it's just super discouraging, because Jackson, like, he proved to me that people like us can grow. He proved to me that, you know, you don't have to be like Hassan or Vosh or Destiny. You don't have to be part of their big club, work for the Young Turks or anything. We can actually do this, right? So he affirmed that for me. It's just like when he gets, the way he's being targeted so aggressively also has confirmed to me, you know, that, you know, unfortunately, if you get that big, right, they're just gonna come after you. And that's super, super disheartening. Thank you so much, Love Tony. Appreciate you so much, man. That is super, super disheartening. Yeah, but we got to build that fortress, right? Because one thing that's kind of heartening, though, is he's been doing really well on Rumble, right? Thank you so much, Diogenes. Appreciate you so much, man. Yeah, he's been doing well on Rumble, so that's pretty encouraging, isn't it? I think that's encouraging news. So, yeah. Also, guys, let me tell you something. I plan on doing more debates, and I'm gonna start doing something new, right? Usually, modern day debates, or one of those people contact me for the debates. I'm actually gonna reach out to them and start to try and schedule debates of my own with people. And I actually want to do ambitious debates, right? So I'm gonna start doing challenging people to debates myself, because I'm getting to a point where nobody wants to challenge me anymore to debates, and it's kind of led to a drastic reduction of debate content. So, the way I'm going to respond to that is that, fuck it, I'm just going to start challenging pretty high-profile people. And I think I want to start challenging more people on the right for debates, but not the hard right. More like the soft right. I want to start challenging them to debates, like the PragerU kind of crowd, the Ben Shapiro's and shit like that. I think that's the people I want to start debating more, because what do I really have to, like, look, when I debate with leftists, it's going to go two ways, right? It's going to be, like, super disrespectful on their part, and it's going to be super aggressive, or, right, it's going to be boring as fuck, and we're just going to talk about our differences and shit, and it's going to be really boring, right? I feel like now is the time to debate more right-wingers, more right-leaning people, because I think I've exhausted, what else am I going to debate leftists about, right? There's really nothing else. I mean, they don't like debating me. They don't like debating me either. Nor do they want to. Whereas righties debate more. They're more willing to debate, right? But I have to I want to debate bigger influencers. I don't want to just debate randos. I want to debate bigger influencers, right-wing influencers. So yeah, I don't know who Jay Dyer is. Let me look him up. I don't know who he is, but I'm open to that. Let me see. Jay Dyer. So what would looks like he's exposing Hollywood, right? Yeah, I don't know. What would I be disagreeing with him about? I don't know anything about him. He says something about Hollywood and symbols, is what I'm seeing from Google. I don't know. I'm not sure. Charlie Kirk. Yes, I want to debate Charlie Kirk. 1,000%. I would like to debate Charlie Kirk. 1,000%. Oh yeah, Steven Crowder, that's way above my abilities in terms of clout, right? He's just way too famous. John Doyle. Muhammad Hijab. I don't know what I would debate him about. What would I debate Muhammad Hijab about? Probably nothing. Yeah, guys, you guys are giving me like these really super famous people. Guys, let's take inventory right now, right? I think we should take inventory. We're not that famous, all right? We're just not that famous, all right? I'm sorry to tell you guys, I am not that famous. I cannot just debate these like millionaire, people who have like tens of millions of fucking followers and shit. I'm just not famous like that. I'm sorry, right? We gotta kind of be humble a little bit, right? Take inventory of where we're at, and let's climb the ranks, right? We still have to climb the ranks. I'm not that famous. Okay, let's be clear. Not only am I not that famous, I'm not famous at all, okay? At the end of the day, you guys know I've never been approached in public. Nobody's ever been like, oh, Haas, hello, I know you. You're that guy who yelled at Destiny. Because that's the only way people would know me, is if they watch Destiny, right? All of my in real life fame probably comes from Destiny, probably, right? He's not even that famous himself. It's just like there's more likely to be people who know of him and his debates and shit. That's the only thing that would make people recognize me in real life. I'm really not famous, right? Surprisingly, a lot of people don't know who I am. Well, it's not surprising at all. It's not surprising. I'm the Mongolian man. I feel like people don't even remember that, right? It's not something people are gonna remember, like, who I am for. And believe it or not, guys, I must have some disorder. I must have some, like, mental thing. It's like, I don't even know why the Mongol rant went viral. Why did the fucking Mongol thing go viral of all of the shit that I've done? I still don't know that. And the fact that I don't get that, I feel like shows I have a lot to learn as far as internet culture. I really don't get it that well, right? Because it was based. Yeah, but I feel like every other thing I do is based. Why was that the thing that stuck out? You know? I'm super, like, I feel like that's everything. Almost everything I do, right? Alex Jones moment. Yeah, no, there's definitely a lot of things I don't understand in terms of culture. That still I don't understand. And it's just one of those things, right? It was memeable. Sometimes I don't understand the memes very well. Let me give you another example. I love Alex Stein. I like that guy, right? But when he was like telling AOC, like, oh, AOC, you have a great booty, whatever, like he was saying. Did you guys see that video? Or should I show it to you? I don't even get it. Like, I don't get what that was. What I mean by that is it's like, it's not that I think he was actually catcalling her. I don't. I get it was a joke, but like, I don't get why it's so funny. Should I show it? Okay, I'll show it. I'll show it right now. I just don't get I don't get why it's so funny or why it's even a big deal per se. I just feel like it's just like a random thing that happened. And I don't know. I saw this 1 minute after it was posted and it got like 100 likes. And I did not understand the humor. And I'm thinking, guys, this is why people didn't understand. I don't understand the sense of humor. All right. I feel like these people don't actually like big booty, right? So for them, a big ass is just like a funny thing. There's like, haha, it's a big butt, whatever. Whereas for me, that is not anything to joke around about, okay? Me, when I hear that shit, oh, big booty, I'm like, oh! You know what I mean? Like, I don't get the joke part. It's a serious matter to me, right? So I'm investigating. I'm saying, where? What do you mean? Where's the conundrum? There's a bunch of hubbub. Where's the hubbub? Right? That's my mentality. My mentality is I'm hearing some hubbub going on. What's the hubbub all about? Right? That's my mentality. Okay. So this is the video.
See, my favorite big booty Latina. I love you, AOC. You're my favorite.
And then when he says that, something like, huh? This is a serious matter. This has got to be investigated. Is he serious? What happened? Right?
Favorite. She wants to kill babies, but she's still beautiful. You look very beautiful in that dress. You look very sexy. Look at that booty on AOC. That's my favorite big booty Latina.
I want you to do a little selfie.
I love it. My favorite AOC. Nice to meet you, AOC. Look how sexy she looks in that dress. Woo.
I don't get it. Because, to say the least, upon investigation, I don't see what the conundrum is all about. I don't see what all the conundrum's about. I don't see what the hubbub is all about. All right? I don't understand the commotion upon investigation. So I don't even understand this clip at all. I don't get it.
Ooh, I love it, AOC. Hot, hot, hot like a tamale.
I do not understand this. I just don't. All right? I don't get it. I don't get it. No, we're not. Guys, stop being fucking weird, okay? Stop being weird. At the end of the day, she's a politician, and it's kind of weird, right? It's kind of like you can't, like, critique. Like, we're so critical of AOC and shit. Like, let's not, like, sexualize. You know what I mean? It's kind of weird, right? Yeah, a lot of motherfuckers think a big ass is something to laugh about. Think it's a funny thing. I personally don't think it's a funny thing. I think it's a very serious thing that demands very serious investigation. Okay? Because when y'all hear that, y'all are going, ah, it's funny. When I hear that, I'm going, that's what I'm doing, right? So anyway, that was that.
And yeah, it's just like, this is an example. A lot of memes I don't understand, right? I think I understand most of them, but a lot of them I'm just kind of, I still don't even get the Mongol meme. Like, I don't even get it, right? Like, why did that go viral? I don't know. Embrace your Coomer side. Not a Coomer, okay? Just a normal, average man. I'm a normal, average man. I have the tastes of the common man, right? I have the tastes of a common man amplified to a great degree of noticeability, right? I can hyper focus and kind of understand that. So the extremity of the rant is a selling point. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. I still don't. I still do not, okay? It was an uncommon perspective in the West and the editing. Okay, I think I understand what you're saying. I think I understand what you're saying, right? I think I understand. Anyway, guys, it is a beautiful infrared summer. And I think, I want to announce something, right? I think, don't hold me to this, I'm pretty sure I am going to the CPI conference that's going on in August, all right? And it's going to be in Chicago, and I'm going to be speaking there in public. So, yeah, I think that's other news. More public speaking stuff that I'm going to be doing and leaving my apartment to do, right? But for now, I'm just kind of, I don't really want to, like, dwell upon my existential predicament. Do I write? Do I stream? What do I do? Whatever, right? But anyway, I need to fucking leave my apartment more. I need to leave this apartment, and I'm still got to get my fucking passport, and I got to get time to go to Detroit, downtown, to get my passport. I need to get my passport because I'm going to get a fucking hair transplant. Once I get that hair transplant, it's going to be a new beginning in the era of Haas. Personally, right? It's not going to change much for infrared, I don't think. But it's going to be a new beginning for Haas, right? IRL streams. I can't because Streamlabs banned me and Stream Elements banned me. So, like, how will I go IRL? I think YouTube has an app. But YouTube, does anyone want to watch IRL on YouTube? I don't know, right? I am also kind of wondering if I should keep applying to get unbanned from Twitch. Because I'm wondering, should I do normie content again? Or was it all just cringe, right? I was trying to do something pretty specific with that. But maybe it was just a big bad idea the whole time, right? When I was doing normie content. When I was doing normie content on Twitch, a lot of people who are autistic, nothing wrong with that. But like they started to take it too far. Where they assumed that what I was doing was something political. So I would be doing something casual and personal based on my personality with no political content at all. And people are like, this is like Marxism. This is what Haas is saying is the party line. And it's like, oh, okay, we can't balance those two things because of the widespread problem of, widespread phenomena of autism. There's nothing wrong with it, but it is something that kind of makes what I was trying to do somewhat difficult without provoking extreme backlash and anger and frustration. So I don't know if that was a good idea at all. Doing normie stuff, right? Normie isn't you, and nobody wants to watch you do IRLs. It's not your niche. What do you mean normie isn't me? That is me, right? But I don't know, like, my IRLs used to do very well, actually. And I get that this community, this is what I understand, that this community might not like them the most, but there was a Twitch audience that did enjoy them, right? But I would understand if, like, the YouTube community wasn't that into it, right? But, yeah. Yeah, that approach seems to have hit a wall with just getting banned, right? And it was also way more exhausting and shit. Twitch audience is more meme-ish. Yeah, I know. But I kind of liked it. There's stuff about it I liked. You know, I liked the memes. I liked having fun. This is something I was thinking about, right? Am I a comedian? Because, guys, I could not do this without the keks. I couldn't do this without the keg W's. I couldn't do this without the humor. I couldn't do this without the comedy. I'm not just saying that because, you know, I'm trying to use comedy as a tool to spread my message. No, my message is comedy in a way, right? I can't take this that seriously. I can't take this format that seriously. Like, there's something inherently funny. I always say this. There's something inherently funny about this, right? There's something inherently funny about me doing this and being here live and this whole situation. It's just inherently funny, right? And it's a tension I cannot get over. If that's why I can't work for a news organization. Imagine if I got hired by a news organization, put on a suit and a tie, and I get in front of my live stream, and I'm trying to do serious presentation. I would have my fucking papers, right? I have my folders, and in today's news, and then randomly I just like, I would just do shit like that, right? I can't help it. I can't help it. I cannot help it. And that may be schizophrenia. And I don't know what that is, but I cannot help it. I can't take this that seriously. Maybe that's some self-criticism I should do. Maybe I should take this more seriously, right? I just can't. I can't. Oh yeah. Something I talked to Jackson about. I don't know if I should even announce this, right? Thank you so much, Waffles.
Jackson did some IRL vids. The guy from the Duran does them every day. Well, they take vids outside and then upload them, but you can do it. Have fun.
I am going to do those. I'm going to do change my mind videos and everything. But I did talk to Jackson. What do you guys think about this idea, right? What if me and Jackson did tours and we did real life shows? We did real life shows, right? And it's like half comedy, half serious, right? It's not fully, we're not like professional comedians, but it's like half funny and then half, like it's kind of a comedy show, but it's not only comedy. Does that make sense? We actually are probably going to do that. Thank you so much, Ned
When
Randall.
you laugh comedically, I almost have a heart attack every time. Pure goldas. More laughs, please.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ned Randall. Yeah. Yeah. That is something I think we're going to be planning on doing. We're going to do tours and stuff. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. You'd go? I think people would come, right? I'd need Jackson, obviously, because I'm not famous enough to get, a tour for everybody I don't think everybody in the country would come. In every part of the country, do I have fans? I don't know, right? But I think it would be easy for Jackson, right? And then plus me, I think we would also, we'd record them and then upload them afterwards. And we would make them, like, infamously good shows to attend. We would make them infamously good shows. And I think I want to do that. I think I really would. And the reason I want to do it is because I think I would enjoy doing it. And B, this is something I learned. They're very viable. It's very viable to make a living doing that. If you can get an audience town to town, it's actually pretty viable, right? To do it. Believe it or not, you can make a living off of that. And I think I would enjoy that. I think I would enjoy doing tours more. And I think I would enjoy it even more than streaming. Because if there's anything I like more than streaming, it's speaking to crowds. And if there's anything I like more than speaking to crowds, it's speaking to crowds uninhibited, okay? And I think I would have a lot of fun doing that. I would have a lot of fun doing it with Jackson especially, right? So that's an idea we're kind of developing, and I want to do that soon. More politics than comedy. Look, this is how I see it, guys. This is how I see it. I think seriousness is about stature and authority. The reason I don't take this that seriously, I don't have the authority to be that serious. I am not the leader of a political group. I'm not the leader of a political organization. I'm not the official leader of anything. I'm literally a random Arab guy in Michigan who streams in front of a camera. So it's like, Obviously, I can be professional and I can be formal. I'm very capable of doing those things. But it has to be the right context. Otherwise, I can't do it, right? I cannot do it. It's not so much humble, it's just for me, with that demeanor comes the level of responsibility that I don't want to have. I don't want to have that level of responsibility or accountability if I don't have power too, right? So as long as I don't have power, why should I be that accountable and that, humble, right? I don't think I should have to do that. I think as long as I don't have power, I could just joke around and, whatever. But I think one of the things that kind of breaks my heart is when I'm just doing something funny, people clip it and treat it like it's serious, and all of a sudden something funny turns into like the biggest tragedy in the world. It's so depressing. It's so fucking depressing. It's like, okay, I guess it was serious. Buzzkill, right? Nothing worse than a fucking buzzkill. But that's what leftists are. They're fucking buzzkills. Actually, guys, the thing that made me hate leftists wasn't that they're the synthetic left created by the CIA or whatever. It wasn't that they're a bunch of sellouts and frauds and fakes. It wasn't this, wasn't that. It's that they're buzzkills. And that's what made me... I can never forgive a buzzkill. I can never forget people who don't have a sense of humor and just don't understand the tone, right? I hate when I say like random shit. People treat it like it's serious. And then they're like, well, Haas, I can't tell when you're being serious or when you're joking. Genuinely then, if you can't tell, just be confident in your own level of knowledge. Like, be confident in what you know. Because if I'm saying something and you can't tell if I'm being serious or it's funny, ask yourself what about it has opened up critical thinking for you, right? Like, what have I said that makes you want to even consider that this deserves some critical examination that is serious, okay? And if there is something there, then internally you should work on that, right? And if there's nothing there, then laugh and relax, right? It's like there's no need to be like, oh, is it serious or is it not serious? There's no need to even question that. It's up to you, the audience, to make of it what you will. I just find it really tragic. Here's what I think, right? This is what I think. I think when you try to nail me on a cross of seriousness when I'm joking, you're being dishonest, right? You know it's something that you don't have to take seriously. So you're attributing me, you're basically trying to say, Haas unironically thinks this, therefore he's a dumb fuck and fuck him and he should, well, go fuck himself, right? But if you can't know for certain that I'm being serious about it, you don't have a right to nail me on a cross about it. You should probably just move on. If you don't find it funny, go move on and do your own thing, right? But like trying to like make it seem like I'm an immoral, horrible fucking person or whatever, I'm just joking, right? It's like, that is so cringy. That is like so beyond the pale, right? But yeah, and people always ask me like, Kaz, how do I know? I think that's another characteristic of autism is you need a hard line. Okay, this is being serious. Okay, here's being joking, right? I don't have a hard line. I don't have a strict line between when I'm trying to be funny and when I'm speaking truth. To be completely honest, a lot of the times the truth is funny. A lot of the times I could say something true, but also laugh about it as well, because I can add humor to it and it'd be funny, right? There's something true about humor itself. So it's like, I can't give you a hard distinction, right? I could just give you what I'm streaming. I could just give you what I'm saying, and then you can do whatever you want with it, right? Yeah, you prefer these absurd bits. It's easy to clip and ship it. Yeah, I know. It's just, I just hate when people, like, become very serious, right? And they're just trying to, like, fucking scold me about it and shit. It's like, damn, I didn't know you have to be such a fucking buzzkill about it, right? But, I have to accept the fact there is something about my personality that does drive people insane. There is such a thing as Haas derangement syndrome that, like, it's just a phenomenon. Like, there's some, like, look, You saw it yourself on Twitter, right? Like, there's something about me that just drives people insane. They lose their minds. It's like they adopt schizophrenia. And I think that's because I kind of break the threshold of what they consider it possible to think and say, right? And it's very tragic. Very tragic. You guys are tough. You guys are tough. You guys are tough. You can watch my streams and you don't get deranged. You don't have the derangement. So, guys, everyone clap for yourselves. Clap. Everyone clap. You guys are all apparently, like, have these superhuman abilities that just allow you to not lose your fucking minds over this shit. Yeah, it's like I break people. I break their heads. And over what? Like, I would get it if I, like, was never responding to any criticism, or I wouldn't have people on VC to critique me. Like, literally anyone can come on VC and, like, state whatever problem they have, right? And, like, it's an open forum. You can just literally come on and say what your problem is. There's no problem, right? But yeah, regardless, it is what it is. It is what it is. I promised myself that I would always keep a sense of humor, right? Always keep a sense of humor. Anyway, someone told me you don't actually have a sense of humor. It's funny. I don't. I really don't. I do not have a sense of humor at all. They don't have the conviction of their own intelligence. I like that. I like that. That makes a lot of sense to me. I like that one. Never shave your beard. Okay, that's another breaking news. Breaking Haas news. I have to fucking shave this beard. So I'm fucking doing ultimatum, right? There's a barber I know that I trust that I'm going to see if I can get my beard trimmed. The problem is that they're very far away, right? And I'm going to see if I can get that done Saturday. And I don't want to have to make this commitment, but if I cannot trim this beard by Saturday, I am fucking shaving it all off. I'm going to keep, like, the outline, because I always do that, but I'm shaving it all off. And you're going to say, Haas, why are you keeping the outline? Why don't you just fully clean shave? Two reasons, right? One, you guys remember when I went fully clean shaven on stream and there's fucking blood all over my face? Because I have a skin disorder that makes my skin very dry and very fucking crispy shit after I fully shave. And when I fully shave, there's blood all over my face. Then after a few days, it's just red. Then after a few days, it becomes, like, very crispy. It becomes like fucking, like, dead skin, like dandruff, like white, crisp. And then I have to get, like, seborrheic, what is it called? Ketoconazole, whatever I have a whole history with that. I'm never doing that again. I have resigned myself to an acceptance that God wants me to have a beard, all right? God wants me to have a beard. And plus, when I just shave down to my stubble, the beard always grows faster than when I fully shave completely. Because when you fully shave completely, you're also shaving your white hairs. You're shaving those rare hairs that take a long time to grow. And I don't want to deal with that bullshit again. So I'm just going to shave down to my stubble. But I do long for I think it's what I'm going to do, guys. When I get my hair transplant, I think there might be an era of beardless Haas after I get my hair transplant. So that might be a thing. So you may see a beardless Haas in your lifetime. That may be something you can experience in your own lifetime, right? Zombie Haas for Halloween. Halloween is a sacred holiday to me, you know? And it sucks that there's... What am I going to do for Halloween on Twitch? I mean, on YouTube, nothing, right? One of the things I liked about Twitch is it's so parasocial. Would I do it, the fun that I have in real life, I can bring you guys along, right? But you can't do that on YouTube. YouTube's very formal. Woohoo. Woohoo, right? Boo-hoo. So sad. So sad. Anyway, I'm not gonna fucking carve a pumpkin, okay? I did that when I was a kid and it was traumatizingly difficult to do. I'm never doing that shit again. Fucking taking out all the inside and say, hell no! Hell no! Anyway. Alright? The same on YouTube as Twitch. I just can't do gaming content. I just can't. I can't. I literally kept saying I'm gonna do the Minecraft server again. And then I opened up Minecraft the other night on my computer, and then while it was loading, I just left because I already got bored. I opened it up, and while it was loading, I exited out of it, and I was just like, I don't want to do this. It's such a chore. It's a chore. Alright? Video games are a chore. Just do IRL, no gaming. Does anyone on YouTube do IRL streams that are funny and fun and shit? Because I'm going to have to start switching to less political content because YouTube is hunting us like dogs. Look what happened to Jackson, right? So I have to find ways to grow through comedy and through casuality. And look, the political stuff is going to get me in trouble, right? I have to weather the storm. And I'm going to funnel my audience to like my website and my books and writings and shit. And I'll have more politics there. And I'll still do politics here and there, right? But I need to start making content that doesn't make it inevitable that I'm going to get banned one day, right? Because if I just only do political like how I'm doing now, they're going to fucking come after me like they did Jackson, right? And then everything I've worked for will have been for nothing. So yeah, I have to grow in a different way. I have to grow in a completely different way. Start doing speed. No, I don't give a fuck about gaming, dude. Gaming is like, bruh. I gave gaming a chance. I gave it many chances. I gave it a chance with Halo Infinite. Halo Infinite fucking sucks. It fucking sucks. Alright? Then, the other chance I gave it was Starfield. And then I saw the trailer for Starfield. And it looks like a fucking hospital simulator. Alright, so I'm done with fucking gaming, man. I'm done with that shit. I gave them, that was the last chances I was gonna give gaming, was Starfield and Halo. And they both fucking suck. Okay? So I'm done with gaming forever. Prank call. Alright, I could actually do that. I could actually prank call. Because I used to do that all the time growing up. I'm very good at it, right? I'm very good at prank calling, right? So, I may do that. But instead of prank calling like random pizza restaurants, what if I start prank calling influencers? Like, I prank call fucking Bosch or some shit. Bro, you can't prank call in this day and age because nobody uses the fucking telephone, okay? Nobody uses phones. So, yeah, there's just no way to do it. Nobody does that. The only victims I could have of pranks would be boomers. My only victims would be boomers if I did prank calls. Legit, my only victims would be boomers. Because those are the only people who still use the telephone. So I could, like, prank, like, some, like, office in the middle of nowhere or some shit. Hello, this is Barbara speaking. Then what do I accomplish? Nothing, right? Call Joe Sims. Call the CPUSA. Hello. Who is this? High testosterone male never wear deodorant. Can I confess that I don't wear deodorant? I don't. And I think that's a problem. That's a problem. I do not wear deodorant. I should fix that. I should fix that. I should fix that. Should Arab Andy and walk around in public? Bro, shut the fuck up. What the fuck is that? That's like the biggest glowy in my chat. Bro literally wants me to fucking go to jail. Literally wants me to go to prison. What the fuck is that? The fuck? Yeah, yikes. Huge yikes. Okay, huge yikes. Anyway, you guys are here for the good news, aren't you? The good news. President Putin. Ooh, I don't know if I can even read this because YouTube is so fucking strict about it. But Putin was in an event where he met with state Duma leaders and party faction heads, right? So, Mr. Putin gave a little speech, which he talked about so-called collective West, led by the United States, has been extremely aggressive toward Russia. They're trying to expand NATO expansionism. And this is actually going to be in line with a theory I gave earlier. And that theory was actually about the nature of Russia's special military operation as far as internal Russian politics were concerned, and the kind of class struggle within Russia against the oligarchic class, or at least the remnants of that oligarchic class, and international finance and the whole significance with that. I wrote about it in my Substack, and I also did a big stream about it. Thank you so much, Adnan.
Bro, would you bring back the original members of Infrared? Love your early videos, very insightful. Hashtag CP.
Thank you so much, Adnan. Appreciate you so much. Thank you so much, New Red Scare.
Have you thought about reaching out to channels like Timcast for debate as a guest? It may be a good way to boost your audience and message.
Yeah, I'd have to do that myself, so I'll get around to that. It's just like my excuse for saying I'll never do it. But I will try. I will try to get around to that. Adnan, as far as your question, it has to be for a specific reason right now, right? Streaming in groups is always going to be a failure if you're not already famous. That's just how it is, right? It's not, if it's like Aiden Ross and XQC, like, yeah, it works, right? But if you're just a collective, I mean, it never, you guys ever see all those leftist channels where it's like a group of people like talking? It's just fucking boring, right? It's fucking boring. Like the one that got the privacy complaint against me, right? It's actually on YouTube, on Dust James' channel, and you should take it up with YouTube if you want that shit gone, right? But anyway, so he's talking about the ruling elites are raising the degree to which they manipulate the public consciousness. For our eyes, the ruling classes of Western, this is Putin, of Western countries, which are supranational and globalist in nature, realize that their policies are increasingly detached from reality, common sense, and the truth, and they have started resorting to openly despotic methods, aka, otherwise known as, for example, the fucking banning of Jackson Hinkle twice. Okay? I think these are openly despotic methods because they come directly from the State Department. We have evidence of collusion between the State Department and Google and Big Tech to selectively censor and silence people who are not in line with the State Department's agenda. So this is a merger of private, corporate, and state power. And Glenn Greenwald has actually characterized that as fascist, believe it or not. He said that's fascism. That's the definition of fascism, right? Evidence coming from that it's much... See, this is much bigger than Paul Mason, in all likelihood, right? This is not something that's coming only from Paul Mason. This is the State Department. I mean, the hands of the State Department are all over this thing, right? That much is very, very clear. State Department, its paws and its fingerprints are very, very clear, right, when it comes to this. So they're resorting to openly despotic methods. The West, which one declared such principles of democracy as freedom of speech, pluralism, and respect for dissenting opinions, has now degenerated into the opposite, totalitarianism. This includes censorship, media bans, and arbitrary treatment of journalists and public figures. Again, Jackson Hinkle is the symbol of this, all right? Now, I also want to emphasize that what Putin is saying here is actually pretty much the same thing as what Stalin said in his last speech. Stalin said the bourgeoisie once upheld the liberal freedoms of free association and free speech and self-determination and, so on and so on. And now all of this has been flung overboard, right? So Putin, who probably knows about this, right, is repeating what Stalin said almost directly. Almost directly. These kinds of prohibitions have been extended not only onto the information space, but also to politics, culture, education, and art, to all spheres of public life in Western countries. And they are imposing this onto the world. They're trying to impose this model, a model of totalitarian liberalism, including the notorious cancel culture of widespread bans. So as you can see, right, it's pretty clear what we're dealing with right here. However, the truth and reality is that the people in most of these countries do not want this life or this future, and really do not want the formal semblance of sovereignty. They want substantive, real sovereignty, and are simply tired of kneeling, of humiliating themselves before those who consider themselves exceptional, and of serving the interests even to their own detriment. Look what Putin's saying. He's talking about the Dutch farmers. He's talking about the Canadian truckers. And he's talking about the overwhelming anti-Biden, anti-regime, and populistic sentiment that now prevails in the United States because nobody buys their narrative as far as their explanation for the inflation is concerned. No one. And because Jackson, only because he went into the details about the real causes of widespread inflation, refusing to blame Russia, that is actually what got Jackson's strike, is because he went into the details about what exactly is responsible for the inflation. Because the State Department issued an order about misinformation. I think I'll pull up the exact one right now, actually, to prove it. They issued an order regarding misinformation about inflation, which they wanted big tech to comply with. Pretty unreal, huh? So let me find this. State Department. Here it is.
Greetings. I'm Leah Bray, the acting coordinator.
So here it is. Yeah, this is going to be a quick video. It's only a minute long, but it's going to sum up the State Department's efforts in countering disinformation. And what they do is they don't force these big tech corporate companies to do it, but they definitely work with them to do it, right? The big tech companies are going to listen to what the State Department says because they have this private relationship where the government's going to give them subsidies and tax benefits and all this other kind of stuff, so long as they comply, right? The level of dependence between America's corporations and the government is well known. It's widely known, right?
Greetings. I'm Leah Bray, the acting coordinator of the U.S. Department of State's Global Engagement Center, known as the GEC. My office is responsible for countering disinformation and propaganda from foreign state and non-state actors. You may have seen some of our recent work exposing Russia's disinformation activities prior to and throughout its unjustified further invasion of Ukraine.
So a woman like this is responsible for Jackson getting deplatformed. It's people like this.
We are a proud member of the State Department's public diplomacy family. Our team of experts work closely with the White House, our foreign partners, academia, the private sector.
Ooh, the private sector. I wonder what that's in reference to.
And our colleagues at state, both overseas and in Washington, D.C., to create a whole of society approach to countering disinformation.
A whole society approach to countering disinformation. This is what Putin was talking about when he was talking about totalitarianism. How do you actually determine what's disinformation and what's not, right? How do you go about actually establishing a just criterion for that? Do we get to vote on what that is? Do we vote on any of this? No. They have a whole society approach for censoring all dissent against the agenda of the State Department.
Our collective efforts are geared toward maintaining the integrity of the information space. We're leading public sector understanding of emerging technology applications against disinformation, and we collaborate closely both with the U.S. government and international partners to drive innovative analytic capabilities and information sharing. To learn more about countering disinformation related to Ukraine, please visit the State Department website, Disarming Disinformation.
Thank you so much, Brenda. We'll do it. State.gov, Disarming Disinformation. State.gov, Disarming Disinformation. Thank you so much, Brenda. We appreciate it. We appreciate it a lot, Brenda. So, disarming disinformation, our shared responsibility. And this is from Joseph R. Biden, who Hunter Biden has famously characterized as Pedo Peter. In his laptop, he called Biden Pedo Peter, right? There is truth and there are lies. Lies told for power and for profit. And each of us has a duty and responsibility as citizens, as Americans, and especially as leaders. Leaders who have pledged to honor our Constitution and protect our nation, to defend the truth and to defeat the lies. So that's from Joseph R. Biden. Disinformation is the Kremlin's most important and far-reaching weapon. Russia's operation, so it's Russia who's leading the disinformation charge, which is why, like, the internet almost unanimously believed up until now that Ukraine was winning the war. Up until now, everyone believed Ukraine was winning the war. So I highly doubt Russia's reach as far as spreading misinformation, or at least their version of information is concerned, isn't as, nearly as extensive as what is being suggested here, right? The concept of perpetual adversarial competition in the information environment by encouraging the development of disinformation and propaganda ecosystem. This ecosystem creates and spreads false narratives, yada, 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 just a bunch of psychosis reflecting the liberals' inability to recognize that reality contradicts their ideology. Everything from human rights to environmental policy. That's an interesting one that you got to keep your eye out on for the future. They're going to definitely start censoring anyone who talks about environmental policy that isn't in line with the green agenda. To assassinations and civilian killing bombing campaigns are fair targets in Russia's malign playbook. Here it is. So this is what got Jackson his second strike, if you didn't know. So the State Department released this article saying Russia's disinformation cannot hide its responsibility for the global food crisis. So to be very clear, YouTube has decided to make the following opinion the mandatory opinion of everyone on YouTube, or you're getting banned. So everyone has to blame Russia for the global food crisis, or YouTube is going to issue a strike on your channel and potentially terminate your account as long as you rack up 3 of them. So just so we're all clear, I'm just spreading YouTube's new policy. YouTube has enshrined it as a matter of policy that you must exclusively and primarily blame Russia for the global food crisis. And if you point your hands and you point your fingers in any other direction as far as causal responsibility for the global food crisis, your account will be terminated in due time. Moreover, I just find that really interesting because food prices were both going up and showed signs of going up well before late February. I predicted a global food crisis, if you guys remember, August, September, right? I told you guys to stock up on canned food because it's coming, and this was around August and September of last year. Why? Because there were very clear signs that a global food crisis was impending well before the war and the conflict now undergoing in a certain region of Eastern Europe. So I just find that to be an interesting detail. We can't elaborate on that because YouTube has made it impermissible to even talk about that topic. Again, you know, first they said you can't engage in hate speech and you can't, you know, hurt people's feelings, right? Then they said you can't, you know, incite violence. I mean, they always said that. Of course you can't incite violence, right? Then they started saying, you can't spread medical misinformation either, right? Okay, well, it is a pandemic and we all want to stay safe. Now, don't we? Seems like an excuse. Now they're saying, you can't talk about the responsibility for the global food crisis because it might make the Democrats lose the midterm elections and potentially the presidential election of 2024. You can't just say something that might change the outcome of an American election. Apparently, the Democratic Party is the only officiated party, apparently now, and they're the only ones who are allowed to have, you know, legitimacy according to big tech. And if you can't have an opinion that gets in the way of their ability to get reelected anymore, I mean, that's kind of sketchy and it's kind of weird, right? I mean, after all, Jackson got his entire channel demonetized because of this. He got his entire channel demonetized because of this. Now, I remember all of the people who kept talking about the clear limits to free speech in order to protect public safety, right? But I would love to know how the limits to free speech that are being imposed because of State Department articles like this, I would love to know how this protects our public safety. How does it make us safer that we are not allowed to talk about the various causes for the global food crisis? How exactly does that protect us? How does it actually protect us that we can't talk about the truth of the causes of the Ukraine war and the nature of Russia's involvement in it? I mean, how does that protect our safety as Americans? Can anyone tell me how this is in the interest of public health or public safety, right? Anyway, that's what Putin's talking about here, right? That, you know, we're veering into totalitarianism, that people instead don't want a formal or a semblance of sovereignty. They want substantive and real sovereignty. And they're tired of getting on their knees and kneeling to these elites. Today, we hear that they want to defeat us on the battlefield. Well, what can I say? Let them try. We already heard about the West wanting to fight us to the last Ukrainian, and this is a tragedy for the Ukrainian people, but that seems to be where it is going. But everyone should know that by and large, we have not started anything in earnest yet. At the same time, we are not rejecting peace talks, but those rejecting them should know, okay, so this is Volodin. Now, this is where it's going to start getting interesting. This is where it's going to start getting interesting, okay? Gennady Zyuganov, the head of the Communist Party of the Russian Federation, now begins his speech to Mr. Putin, President Putin. I'm going to be careful about what I say because much of what he's going to say probably violates YouTube's terms of service. So there's some things I'm going to skip over and not say, okay? This Duma started its cues to address in the Kremlin. I want to focus the address because it contains 5 main goals that this country should achieve. Become one of the most advanced countries. Stop depopulation and impoverishment, and do whatever we can to acquire cutting-edge technologies. We want to stop US globalism, which is attempting to dictate its terms to the rest of the world. We must do what we can to prevent from spreading across Europe. I made it a point to visiting the Economic Forum in St. Petersburg, where I followed closely your remarks and jotted down 26 statements. I noticed even earlier when you were addressing the Valdai Club that you said, yes, capitalism is at a dead end. Macron used even tougher language, saying that it has gone mad. We see it run mad in the citadel of capitalism, England, and we must do our utmost to prevent the people who have not only gone mad, but have also decided to continue dictating their terms from igniting a great war. It's interesting he calls England the citadel of capitalism, because I'm often derided as a crazy conspiracy theorist for saying the same thing. In this connection, our team has drawn up a victory program, 12 laws, and a development budget. We did our best to formulate the key measures and show in practice that these problems can be successfully solved. As for the military political operation, we have always called for recognizing the Donetsk and Lugansk People's Republics, Crimea and Sevastopol. I must inform you that the Executive Committee of Left-Wing Patriotic Forces held a meeting earlier today, and that each and every one of its 132 organizations across the planet, which celebrated along with us the anniversary of the Great October Revolution, are now preparing to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the USSR. All of them have supported our political line. We believe this is our common victory. Now, this is a problem, right? If he's referring to the International Meeting of Communist Parties, he must not be aware that the Communist Party of the United States of America has actually decided to toe the line that Russia is as equally culpable in the conflict as NATO is, that Putin is a fascist and Russia is fascist, and moreover, that Russia's sovereignty does not deserve to be respected, and that Brittany Griner should be released from captivity despite violating Russia's own domestic laws, because they've decided that only American laws should apply on a worldwide scale. Americans have the right to tell Russians what kind of internal laws they should have in their own countries. So that's the line of the Communist Party of the United States of America, and we need to establish more contact with the CP. They don't have any communications with CPUSA. Based. They shouldn't. Until we actually have a real Communist Party in this country, the Russian Communist Party, the Communist Party of the Russian Federation should boycott any association with the revisionist and liberal line of the existing American Communist Party. I've talked to you many times, and I'm also glad that you have strengthened our Eastern wing. Your trip to Beijing and India, as well as your constant consultations with BRICS and efforts to expand the organization. This very powerful counterweight to the Anglo-Saxon idea of crushing us and then dealing with China is gaining more and more support. I'm sure that if you prepare an executive order, I believe my colleagues in the State Duma will support us, we should celebrate the 100th anniversary of the formation of the USSR as a great national holiday. Because then we fought the first battle against those aggressors who tried to enslave and destroy us. It seems to me today the tougher mobilization of resources for implementing the program you have outlined is an acute issue. We have all the tools to do this. We have a well-developed program for new industrialization and innovations. I presented you the program of a new university created by Zoras Alfarov, which today shows examples of how to train students of the future. Now we were all watching your meeting with future leaders. Look what faces. Look what interesting young people. What glorious ideas they suggest. After all, they are born everywhere. And in this regard, we are ready to actively promote this idea in Novosibirsk, developing the second phase of Akademgorodok. You were there and authorized this. Our mayor, Anatoly Lokut, took up this idea in our team and every parliamentary party. Every third person has a scientific degree, like Ivan Melnikov, and every second person in the party leadership does too. These are mecha tankies, guys. These are actual mecha tankies. So fucking based. Absolutely based. These are actual mecha tankies in action. actual mecha tankies. This idea of creating our own cutting-edge technology has been supported greatly by Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin. He has allocated an additional $100 billion for the development of electronics and robotics. Mecha tankies are on the rise in Russia. My friends, mecha tankies are on the rise in Russia. And now the goal of developing domestic aviation is of special importance for us. We also developed the New Virgin Lands program, which you submitted to the State Council, and Vladimir Kashin, together with Nikolai Karikanov and Nikolai Kolomaitsev, worked on this program. Over the last 2 years, we have added 28% in agricultural machine building. In fact, this has happened after you gave a direct instruction to the government and state council meeting. I believe that we can cope with this challenge very effectively. And Mirio, thank you so much for the 5. I went to our famous Kirov plant. Germans came to visit. They were gushing over how quickly we had localized production, started manufacturing modern, high-class machines. Tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, Tatarstan will hold a big festival celebrating friendship among nations. We took a public enterprise there, Kazankovskoy, similar to Pavel Rudinin's Lenin State Farm. We will show 100 types of Russian-produced equipment and show how we can operate in modern conditions without driving up prices and still producing food products of very high quality. So while in the United States, we're closing down food production plants on a very worrying scale, the Communist Party of the Russian Federation is leading efforts to actually drive up food production in Russia. I mean, remember when I brought up the issue to the Communist Party here? What's more important, guys? Is food more important, or is the culture war more important? And they said the culture war, right? They said the abortion issue was more important than food. Well, here's an example of a Communist Party that actually does try to formulate a program for addressing the food crisis, right? One that is actually quite informed by technical expertise. Imagine if we had a Communist Party that was packed with people who had STEM degrees. Wouldn't that be interesting? If we had a Communist Party of people who were experts, engineers, scientists, not the Steven Pinker kind of scientist, but like real people who, actually have expertise and knowledge, of the requirements of modern industry. It'd be quite based, wouldn't it? I believe that we could promote this idea nationwide and build at least one public enterprise in every district. We would be able to fill up our markets with affordable, high-quality products, and food will be our priority and litmus test. By the way, you set a goal of harvesting 130 million tons of grain this year. I believe this task is absolutely realistic, especially if my colleagues actively support the New Virgin Lands program in the 3-year budget that we are already working on. And the new style and your idea deadlocked? Capitalists are not only deadlocked, they're going mad. There's only one antidote because capitalism only creates fascism and Bandera movements. Nothing but socialism can defeat it. Quite a bold statement from Zyuganov. That's why I expect your next speech, you will set socialist goals. This is what Zyuganov is saying. He's expecting that in Putin's next speech, Putin's going to set socialist goals. I think even United Russia will support it. Vyacheslav Volodin is smiling. I can see that he likes the idea. He chairs major hearings on the major issues of the State Duma. One of the recent ones was a brilliant session on education. We are ready to put our law on education into practice for everyone. And look, you supported Andrei Klychov to govern my home region, the Orel region. Thank you. It is a matter of principle to me. My home region is scarred up. There are 800 mass graves. More than 400,000 of the best people are buried there who were breaking the back of the Nazi beast during the defense of Orel Kursk. This year, we'll produce 6 tons of grain per capita, 6 tons in the best harvest in our country. We've doubled the budget in Caucasia over 3 years, the only Siberian region to do so. And even those who are called oligarchs are happy to pay taxes. They say they do not steal and instead do business, support people, and lend a hand to children of war. By the way, 44 regions have adopted a law on children of war. I hope that you will support other regions as well. This issue has been around for a long time. We will organize a red route in Ulyanovsk with our Chinese friends. They are holding their 20th Congress this year and preparing a program for the next 30 years. It'll bring significant profit. He says, we want to fight against Russophobia. Persons with anti-Soviet views are more Russophobic than the rest. Now what I'd like to ask you, and we've stated this viewpoint, unfortunately, Russian culture and media outlets provide too much anti-Soviet information, and we need to stop this. It is a complete disgrace because humankind has no other experience except that of Russian Soviet patriotism and victory over Nazism. We consider this to be highly important. So you're seeing very clearly that the Russian Communist Party is firmly behind the President Putin and is actually even more extreme and insistent on the President Putin's defiance of American globalism and wants to even deepen that break from the West that Russia has accomplished in the past months with a transition into a form of Russian socialism and a revival of Soviet culture and a revival of Soviet memory, right? And this is what the Communist Party is bringing to Vladimir Putin. They're telling him, we are not going to be attached to American globalism or the global capitalist system whose citadel is in England, the citadel of capitalism. We want to go our own way and pursue a Russian socialist path to industrialize our country, to reindustrialize, moreover, our country with the highest level of advanced and technical knowledge befitting of a modern industry through modern science. This is what we want. So this is Vladimir Putin's response, and his response might surprise you. It also might surprise the phony Fox leftists who try to portray the war in Ukraine as an inter-capitalist or inter-imperialist war of some kind. So let's see how the President Vladimir Putin responds to Zyuganov's proposals. Thank you very much. I have no doubts that members of the Communist Party are sticking precisely to this position. Regarding the socialist idea, there is nothing bad about it. Ladies and gentlemen, that seems pretty clear to me. It seems pretty clear that for Vladimir Putin, there's nothing bad about the socialist idea, and adopting these proposals to transition into a Russian form of socialism is something we can extrapolate at the very least. Vladimir Putin is open to. Putin is open to some form of a restoration of socialism in the Russian Federation. I think that's big news. That is the breaking news of today, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we were here to cover. Vladimir Putin is now openly entertaining the restoration of socialism in Russia. Now, this, coupled with talks of a union state with Belarus and Ukraine coming in the near future, I think it's safe to say that whoever that Twitter guy was, Yeasty Kami, who said that a USSR 2 is on the horizon, according to his inside sources, needless to say, I think he's starting to get vindicated as time passes. I think it's becoming quite clear that some USSR 2 kind of doesn't seem that improbable in the near future. But who knows, right? Meanwhile, this is some pretty clear evidence that Vladimir Putin is warming up to the idea of a transition into socialism of some kind, right? And he says, moreover, not only is there nothing bad about it, we should flesh out this idea, especially in the economic sphere. Some countries have given it substance, and I think he's referring to China, and this is linked with market regulation forms. This idea is working quite effectively. We need to look into this. I mean, that's pretty interesting news, isn't it? Putin is saying we need to look into socialism, right? And he's talking about China quite clearly, right? Because that's what the Communist Party of the Russian Federation speaker Gennady Zyuganov mentioned in his speech. So I don't know. I think this is something, right? This is at least interesting, right? If it's nothing, it's at least interesting. Regarding the involvement of the state, the relevant debate focuses on the extent of such involvement and its forms. We should see how the state should regulate its economic activities. We will certainly address this in our discussions and debates. I assume that we will find these solutions while realizing that the interests of the people, country are at stake. I mean, wow, that is quite interesting. That is quite interesting. That is quite interesting, to say the very least, right? Now, again, if you're looking for an explanation of why Mr. Putin is starting to warm up to the idea of implementing or adopting a Russian form of socialism, a socialism with Russian characteristics, if you will, it's because of the nature of the conflict as far as Russia's internal class struggle is concerned since the Russian special military operation. This operation, again, has domestically come at the expense of the so-called oligarchic class, which is inherently tied and embedded within the fabric of global international financial capitalism. Thank you so much, ZK. The operation has come at the expense of their interests. Now Russia is faced with the question of having to deal and pursue its own economic system, having been disattached from the global economic system whose center is in England, right? So because of this, Russia is kind of starting from scratch and kind of deciding, okay, we have to have a more sovereign economy. Well, a more sovereign economy means a socialist economy, right? You can't have sovereignty without socialism. If you don't have your own socialistic economy, your economy is ultimately going to be dependent on the international financial capitalism that is centered in England, right? Or Wall Street. Thank you so much, Orvo.
USSR was never gone. It's just taking a break.
A lot of people think that countries can just create their own capitalist systems from scratch, and that's not true. Even German industrial capitalism was ultimately centered in London and Wall Street. The same thing was true for Japanese industrial capitalism. Capitalism has always been global in nature, and by global, it's Anglo-Saxon. Capitalism has always been Anglo-Saxon in nature. It is ultimately an extension of the power of the British Empire, and always has been. Whether that's the first iteration of the British Empire, or that's the American Empire of today, global capitalism has always been political. It's always been an extension of the political power of, the British Empire, more or less. And that's even true for the inter-imperialist war. One of the reasons it was an inter-imperialist war between the same bourgeoisie is that the economic power was not divided in that war. There was not really rivaling capitalist systems whatsoever. There were just rivaling factions of the same international capitalist class that traces its heritage to the financial arena of London and Wall Street. And a lot of people don't really recognize that. They don't really recognize how sovereign economies mean socialism. A sovereign economy implies socialism one way or another. You have to actually plan. You actually have to dig roots. You have to dig deep roots in the soil of your economy through the power of your sovereign state if you want your economy to be sovereign, right? You have to have your economy planned in a certain way. You have to have your economy commanded in a certain way, right? You have to prioritize internal circulation and internal production over the external kind, right? And that is like sovereignty 101, to make your economy sovereign. You can't be dependent and reliant on the, an international currency like the USD, which is currencies that are printed by central banks, foreign central banks. And that's what we're dealing with in Norway is what? Norway is 1000% dependent and reliant on the Anglo-Saxon financial capitalist system. Norway does not have economic sovereignty whatsoever, okay? It has its own governmental policies, I guess, but it doesn't have its own independent system, right? It just has its own independent policies and its own bureaucracy and its own management of that international system in Norway. But Norway is not some sovereign economy, not in any capacity. Why isn't a Social Democrat or a DSA weeb in your view? I don't know what. Because he's just not wise enough, I guess. Anyway, guys, that is covering the Russia's return to socialism, I should say. However, on a lighter note, we have a new video from Mr. Jason Unruh, and this video is detailing his polemicizing with Caleb Maupin. So he titled his video, "Caleb Maupin is intellectually bankrupt and fascist." And we are going to be reacting to this video and trying to rationally appraise what Mr. Unruh is trying to say. So as you can see, Mr. Unruh is sitting down on his chair with his gaming headset and his Antifa flag in the background. And the camera quality is actually quite nice in this video. I don't know if there's a change in camera quality, you got a new camera or something, but it does look nicer, right? And here we're going to be listening to his grievances with Caleb Maupin. So let's listen.
Honestly, Maupin, sometimes it's a wonder to me that you've never accidentally killed yourself while using a fork.
What the fuck? I did not think it was going to be that fucking intense. I did not think this was going to go from 0 to on. Okay, that escalated quickly, all right? I did not watch any of this video. I didn't vet any of it. That escalated quite quickly, all right? We are already going from 0 to 500, all right? Wow, okay, let's continue, all right? This has got to be pretty serious.
That video that you say, "I support degrowth and want third world people to starve," is quite possibly one of the most intellectually dishonest and frankly idiotic things that I have ever seen in my life. That was a complete joke. Now, let's leave aside the fact that you repeatedly insulted my appearance, which I think is really funny coming from a guy who dresses like a 50s reject.
What the fuck do you mean a 50s reject? What does that mean? Dude, do not compare your appearance to Caleb's, okay? That guy just wears a suit, alright? And you look like a fucking killer Antifa clown, dude. You look like Bozo the Antifa killer clown. You look genuinely disturbing. I hate to say it, but Jason looks like the tanky Alabrel, alright? And if you don't know who Alabrel is, congratulations for having a life. But for those of us who are online enough to know who Alabrel is, this is the edgy, tanky Alabrel, alright? So let's not compare, alright? Let's not make comparisons.
A guy who's a complete self-righteous, holier-than-thou a-hole, which a lot of Christians actually are, particularly Protestants. You know, the ones that have historically supported genocide, but that's besides the point. See, now, this is going to be good because I can actually respond to you without you muting me, like the piece of shit that you actually are.
There's so much aggression.
Actually respond to you without you muting me, like the piece of shit that you actually are.
Oh my god. He's so aggressive.
So, let me get right down to it. This
Guys, I don't want to be 30 years old and doing this shit. Isn't he like 40? I'm kind of getting depressed, you know? I'm gonna be turning 26, and I'm gonna be a 30-year-old man before I know it, right? And I don't really see me doing this at 30. I just don't. I don't know. And I think I want to have a wife and kids by 30, right?
Growth thing is 99% a conspiracy theory. It's not real.
Wait, degrowth isn't real? What? What do you mean it's not real? It's like pretty fucking... Okay, this is the first result on Google, all right? The first result on Google search is the fucking World Economic Forum talking about degrowth. And this is a fucking CNBC fucking international video promoting degrowth. It's a theory. It means shrinking rather than growing. Supporters argue it doesn't mean living in caves, but living a bit more simply. What is degrowth? I mean, it's giving this fucking glow up art, and it's literally the world. Where's the fucking conspiracy theory, dude? Dude, you are so delusional.
This is something you've made up to try, not you, but various other right-wing individuals have made up to
like the World Economic Forum and CNBC International?
Scare people.
Like, dude, it's like you like all you would need is Carl Schwab to come out with a fucking villainous cloak and just be like, degrowth is the agenda of the world's elites, and Jason Unruh would still call it a fucking conspiracy theory made up by right-wingers.
A lot like the Great Reset. There really was.
Now the Great Reset was made up by right-wingers, rather than something ad verbatim that came out of the mouth of the World Economic Forum. I mean, really?
There's no such thing.
What do you... I didn't know this was going to be like this wrong, or this egregiously wrong. It's like, what do you mean there's no such thing, right?
Degrowth, meaning dumping less pollution into the planet for the... just try to deal with global warming, that thing that you don't believe in because you are an anti-science piece of garbage, just like the rest of the religious right.
Just like the rest of the religious right. The rest of the religious right, except the neo-pagan Gaia worshippers. Except the pagans, right? The pagans do believe it. So I guess those religious people are okay. The problem is just Christians, right? And Abrahamic people in particular, right? That's the problem. But the Gaia worshippers and the neo-pagan folk, you know, whatever, Nazis, you know, those guys are fine. It's just the Christians in particular are the problem.
That's not the same thing as kill people off. That's not a thing. You see,
well, I mean, objectively, it would be a thing if that would be the consequence of its implementation. Whether they're like proclaiming that's their goal openly or not doesn't matter. Although they are, because depopulation is also part of the agenda. And they're very open about that. They're very open about the fact that we need to reduce the Earth's population to 1 billion people for it to be sustainable. They're very much, they've said that out in the open. So no, that's not a conspiracy theory at all.
here's why you're a lying piece of garbage, and why you're too much of a coward to actually debate me on an issue and instead have to make everything about your ego and mute me if I ever try to answer you.
Why won't you debate me, Jason? I won't mute you. Matter of fact, I'll let you mute me. I'll give you the muting powers. I'll go on your server.
I say A. You make claim X. I respond to it with A. Rather than giving B.
What? Hold on. My mathematics is pretty rusty. I just gotta...
Do it with A. Onto it with A. Claim X. I respond to claim A. A. I say A.
Okay, he says A. Alright, take notes. He says A.
You make claim X.
He makes claim X.
I respond to it with A.
If you responded to it with A, you just repeated your original premise that you're not even responding to what he said. You're just repeating what you said originally. Why are you responding with A again? Okay, let me I need to hear this correctly. Maybe I'm mishearing it. Okay?
I say A. You may claim X.
Okay, maybe he's saying he wants to begin with you may claim X, and then I respond with A. To be good faith, right? But, I don't know.
I respond to it with A. Rather than giving B as a response to A, you simply repeat X.
But that's what you said. And by the way, it wouldn't be B, it would be Y, right? Because you gave him X. So X and Y are a pair, and A and B are usually a pair, like in terms of, I don't know, it's just fucking stupid. Like, dude, what do you mean? Why would it be B? All right?
I criticize your line, you just repeat the line again and in no way, shape, or form show how I'm supposedly wrong.
But that's what you did to me, Jason. When you critiqued me, calling me a racist, and I responded to you showing how that's like not coherent, you just called me a racist again. It's like, isn't that what you did in our debate?
Because you can't. And you repeatedly do that throughout the entire video. You can't actually answer anything I'm saying. You just repeat your premise again and can't say anything to my response to your premise.
No, I think this is projection. Sounds like projection.
At no point have I ever decided to make third world people starve.
At no point have we decided to oppress indigenous people, right? You can't play this game where you're like, oh, all of my positions, the only positions I'm responsible for are the ones I take conscious responsibility for, right? But as far as the positions Caleb and Haas have to be responsible for, that's based on the consequences of their implementation, whether they consciously acknowledge that or not. I don't have to be held to that standard. My position is just what I believe. Your position is the actual reality, right? It's not just what you believe. It's, some extra consequence that I attribute to your belief, right? So it's like, he's such a fucking hypocrite. He's such a fucking hypocrite.
That's downright idiotic, and it doesn't make any sense. It's just a baseless claim by you. Even your baseless claim, with no assertion, is still a step up from threatening to sue me for disagreeing with you. So you're not a complete and total child.
I don't think he threatened to sue you because you disagreed with him. I think he threatened to sue you because you were engaging in like some pretty serious defamation.
An entitled Richie Rich who thinks they could just censor anybody who disagrees with them.
Dude, you're complaining about censorship. Didn't you celebrate when I got banned from Twitch?
The problem here, the Malthusian here, is you. You're the one who doesn't believe in COVID.
What? Where are you? You just complained that Caleb supposedly is attributing to you a position that you have never espoused. And now you're claiming that Caleb does not believe in COVID, despite the fact that he has never ever said anything like that ever. You have just discredited your sole criticism of Caleb, which is that he's accusing you of something you've never, shown guilt for, right?
And thinks there should be no COVID restrictions whatsoever, which would actually kill off a large portion of the population. Immunocompromised.
there's a big difference between believing COVID restrictions in the abstract and believing that they should be implemented by giving the state, the bourgeois state, unprecedented, extra democratic, extra liberal power, which is fascism, by the way. If it's done by the bourgeois state, it's fascism. The people in power, unless there's a new social contract between the state and the people, like it exists in China, like, why would we sign up for giving the state unprecedented political, social control over the population when this is not a state that we have any like agreement with or social contract with? Like, why would we agree to that, you know?
Compromised children, elderly, etc., for the benefit and comfort of others, particularly the rich and big business.
Particularly the rich and big business. I wonder who these measures are most popular among.
And people who are in better health. That is.
Jason, you ever considered that our health might also be tied to our eating choices and our diet? Maybe if you didn't fucking chug 2 liters of fucking Diet Coke every day, you wouldn't be complaining about inequalities in health, okay? I get that a lot of the health disparities are socioeconomic, but in your case, they appear entirely explicable just in terms of gluttony, right? I don't think that's because of I don't think it's capitalist injustice that you're more disposed to health risks. I think it's just your diet and your gluttonous ways of, you know, having to eat fucking hot Cheetos for breakfast.
Is Malthusianism. That's what you're arguing for. Your degrowth thing is complete nonsense. It's not a real thing. We don't have
source for it's not being. I just showed how it's a real thing, but okay.
A lack of food in the world. We have more than.
Okay, officially, someone write this down. Jason Unruh is now saying that food shortages are not going to be a thing. There's not going to be a food crisis. There's not going to be global food shortages, and there's not going to be a food crisis. And 150 million people are not at stake of starvation. So write that down. That's what he's saying.
Enough. We're just not using it properly. It's not degrowth, it's just capitalism.
I'm pretty sure degrowth is artificially limiting the productive forces. They're not saying that degrowth is about resources, Jason. They're saying about it's what we do with those resources. So I don't know why you're saying it's capitalism specifically when it's not specific enough.
And by the way, running the entire country running the entire world off of a cliff through global warming isn't even just Malthusian. It's downright idiotic. And anyone at this point who denies the existence of global warming, climate change, is a psychopath.
Yeah, so we go from denying that there's changes in the climate to, having to believe. So unless we believe that the world is going to end in 10 years, we're climate deniers. That's the bar that they're setting, right? Just keep that in mind. That's the bar they're setting.
An extremely dangerous individual who should, for the benefit of society, be removed from that society.
Didn't you just fucking call him a Richie Rich who wants to engage in censorship, Jason? Didn't you just call him a Richie Rich who likes to censor everyone who disagrees with him? You're not only advocating for Caleb to be censored, you're advocating for him to be removed from society. And who do you presume is going to do that? You're literally advocating for Caleb to be taken to a goddamn government black site.
Jason Unruh is the cause of the food shortages. Coca-Cola shortage.
Thank you so much, Cyrus, and you're right. But like, weren't you just complaining that you accused Caleb of censorship because he muted you in a debate? Now you're claiming that Caleb should be removed from society because he doesn't agree with your specific interpretation of climate change? Dude, I think you're a little bit off your rocker, dude. I think that's a little extreme. Okay, Jason? You're kind of starting to become a little scary, Jason. Starting to advocate for some pretty extreme things. Guys, remember, this is the Maoist rebel. This is Jason, quote-unquote, Maoist rebel Jason Unruh, quote-unquote, Maoist rebel, who is saying that that the federal government should remove people from society who deny his interpretation of climate change. And according to him, this is a revolutionary punk rock Maoist Antifa praxis thing to advocate for, okay?
Because they are a danger to the entire human race, especially a fascist like you. I think we've already gone over why you're a fascist, international bankers, blah, blah, blah.
What? Was Lenin a fascist? Because Lenin talked about international bankers too. So was he a fascist? I don't know. I mean, don't get us started with the USSR, who named names, right? Pretty problematic names too, by today's standards. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, is that fascist?
So Caleb, I know you haven't a single shred of integrity. You are too much of a coward to actually debate anything for real.
Would you? Okay, I'm gonna fucking comment on this. You claim Caleb is a coward for refusing to debate. What does that make you for refusing to debate me again? I think that's pretty fair.
To summarize, you cannot answer someone's criticism by just simply restating your original premise. Because that doesn't answer anything. It doesn't argue anything. It's just a bot response. Just repeat.
Okay, what is just calling someone a fascist? Isn't that a bot response, Jason? Isn't it a bot response that you haven't responded to our criticisms?
Repeat. But then again, what could I really expect from someone who basically just sucks up to the rich anyway? And tells them how they're great.
Eat the rich!
An open ally of fascists. Not just Dugan.
Who else?
But also of people like Patrick King.
Who the fuck is that? Patrick King. Who is Patrick King and what is he talking about? Who is that? What is he talking about? Oh, the Canadian trucker guy. Oh, okay. That's a fascist, apparently. Okay.
Which you've got no answer for.
I mean, I have an answer for.
Because then you would have to...
But I'm pretty sure Caleb does have an answer for this, actually. I'm pretty sure he says that Dugan is not a fascist, that imperialism is the primary contradiction. I think that's what Caleb's response would be, that, you know, you want to build as much bridges as you can with people genuinely positioned against the establishment, and that you can't just call you can't just call every conservative a fascist. You just can't.
Either A, know what you're talking about, or B, research what you're talking about. But I think
one of the reasons I'm shaving my beard is I can't let it become like this. Okay, I just can't.
You did.
This is a mullah. Okay, this is a goddamn mullah. This is Mullah Jason. All right, and for whatever fucking reason, he has the same facial expression as a mullah. Okay, For some reason, he just looks like one. His face has the same expression as a mullah. Okay, I am 100% a Shia from a Shia Lebanese, probably some clerical lineage in my blood somewhere too, right? And I probably have some Iranian in my lineage. And I am 100%, both sides of my family, Lebanese Shia, okay? And Jason looks more like a mullah than I do, okay? He looks more like a sheikh than I do.
And you knew Patrick King was a fascist. You knew he was an anti-Semite. You knew he was basically a Holocaust denier. And you allied with him anyway. That speaks to you, not me.
Yeah, maybe it's not about ideology primarily. Maybe it's about material reality primarily. Ever thought of that?
But then again, Moppin, why don't you just go ahead and insult my appearance again?
I don't really think anyone needs to insult it. Just all we have to do is share pictures of it and it speaks for itself, okay? I'm saying this, I'm still talking to you as a human being, Jason. For some reason, you take that for weakness when I could just dehumanize you or whatever as like a lalka or whatever. I'm still talking to you as a human being. Your appearance is inherently ridiculous, all right? Your likeness is it's inherently funny, okay? All we have to do to laugh at your appearance is just share it. It's inherently comical and ridiculous, and you do it to yourself. Not only because of your personal grooming habits being so poor, but because of the ridiculous costume that you wear 24/7, not as a one-off joke or whatever, right? But literally as your uniform, this killer clown Antifa clown suit that you wear, which is very disturbing, all right, is inherently... it's inherently ridiculous. Have some self-awareness.
Because it worked so great the first time. By the way, someone looking like you, I wouldn't go around insulting other people's appearance.
Damn. Yeah, I actually... Alright, so let's see what Caleb looked like. Sorry, let's see what Jason looked like in his video that Caleb commented on the appearance of. So this is what... So this is what Jason's appearance was that led Caleb to make a comment on how he was presenting himself. And this is what he looked like.
Waste.
There's a 10K word Wikipedia article on degrowth with 150 citations. If this is a conspiracy theory, it's hidden in plain sight.
Thank you so much, Chris Morlock. Okay, this is what he was wearing, okay? All right, if you want to, you're complaining that he's commenting on your appearance. Dude, why do you... Again, someone... Where's that meme on Twitter? This is a fucking brilliant meme on Twitter. And it's so fucking true. It is so fucking true. Let me share with you this meme. It's a beautiful, beautiful meme on Twitter. And here it is, all right? And it's so fucking true. It's so fucking true. Look at this. There's two paths for Maoist LARPers. You can become a mecha tanky like us, or you become an Antifa LARPer. Because you can't just keep wearing the Red Guard costume. You have to like be modern somehow, right? So you're either going to go this direction and be a mecha tanky like us, or you're going to become like an Antifa LARPer with, you know, punk. Yeah, he chose that path, all right? And that's the path Jason chose, all right? It's quite unfortunate. It is quite unfortunate.
Thing right now, the big issue that people are talking about is the protest of Dutch farmers. And by farmers, we mean multimillionaires who are complaining about having to take positive steps towards tackling global warming.
All right, this is just like a lie. Okay, they are not by and large multimillionaires at all. Many of them are in debt. Many of them are scraping to just get by on the bare necessities. So this is just not true.
You know, that thing that's going to wipe out the human population if we don't do something about it. So naturally, when you put regulations on the rich, and
Dude, like, you're literally sitting here justifying government authoritarianism of like a capitalist liberal establishment, and this is how you choose to present yourself. This is the most absurd fucking thing I have ever seen in my fucking life, okay? You're literally sitting in front of a red Antifa anarchist flag with punk rock fucking aesthetics of like some Maoist rebel fucking overlord of anarchy, and you're sitting here explaining why we need to justify the decision of a capitalist state to crack down on its population, and why we have to condemn a rebellion against the system and the status quo. What the fuck are we watching right now? What is this?
and you say, no, could you please buy this fertilizer? Okay, now you have to buy this fertilizer that has less of an issue with causing the destruction of the planet, and it's a little bit more expensive. They throw a fit.
You're such a stunning analysis of what happened, Jason. You're so right. This is so factual right now. They just threw a fit because they were a little too privileged. It's not like, this is bankrupting them and they're on the verge of collapse, complete bankruptcy and struggling to scrape by as it is with really high inflation and an energy crisis and all this stuff. No, Jason, you're right. There's just greed, just pure greed and privilegedness.
Because their profit margins won't be as big as they were.
Okay, this is terrifying. I'm sorry. This is leftism, and it's fucking terrifying. All right, it's not even funny. This is actually scary. Like, this looks like a guy named Stabby, the stabber, who just will stab you. Okay, imagine being in a fucking building with like 50 of these people. Don't you feel like you'd get stabbed by one of them at least? Just walking past them, like you're just walking past them, and they just stick you, right? It's a fucking scary thing. Okay, Stabby the clown is what he looks like.
So naturally, when you have the rich complaining about not making,
can someone please make a Jason Unruh Gary's mod? Thank you so much, Chris Moore.
Half of Dutch farmers are in poverty at less than $23,000 per year. It is especially bad with livestock producers.
There you go. Half of them are at poverty, Jason. Can someone please make a Jason Unruh like video game mod, like a Gary's mod, Jason Unruh? I'll play it on stream. Please make a Jason Unruh NPC as a mod that like chases you around and shit, and I will play it.
Enough money, you have Pat Socks jumping on them, defending them, and then turning around saying, "Whoa, look, here's a."
Well, thank God you're not jumping on them, because I think fertilizer would be the least of their concern. I think they would be concerned with the next Hiroshima if you jumped on them. So thank God for that.
Workers thing, and once again, leftists are looking for a way to stand against it or oppose it. That's not what's happening. When the rich are throwing a fit because they don't want to have to give a damn about the planet, that's not...
The rich are people who are living in poverty and barely getting by and going bankrupt and in debt. That's the rich.
Malthusianism.
Guys, look, it's the rich. This is the rich, according to this guy.
Buzzword that you use to...
This is literally just the lumpen tool of the ruling class attacking the working class.
Describe everything it is that you don't like. This is not degrowth. This is literally trying to save the planet from global warming. That scientifically proven fact that you don't believe in because you're actually a rightist pretending to be a leftist. Now, of course, we would have this problem with the Patsocks because they do pretend to be
We're mecha tankies now, we're not Patsocks.
When in fact they keep supporting not only right-wing organizations, but right-wing viewpoints as well. And probably for them, the less said about Alexander Dugin, the better. So
why not? We talk about Dugin all the time. It's not a secret. Why don't you have to talk about Dugan? Why not?
What do we have? We have Caleb Maupin and the rest of the usual suspects saying that this is an attempt to, this is for degrowth. This degrowth. They're trying to be the Malthusian. To which now this is starting to get to the point where I'm going to have to ask.
Isn't it weird how he wears this Soviet pin, like in an angle that makes it look like a pentagram? It's kind of scary.
Are these Malthusians in the room with us right now? Are these degrowth people in the room with us right now?
Jason, I highly doubt you would be in the same room with anyone who wants to limit your food intake. So I'm going to say no. I highly doubt you would be in the same room with someone who wants to limit your food intake. But I feel as if I was in the room with you, yes, you would be the Malthusian because the amount of food you're eating is leading to a global food crisis. Okay, so yeah, I think they are.
Because this whole degrowth thing seems to be something wholly manufactured by you. I'm sure you have found tweets from a couple nut jobs in a very...
What?
I'm sure you have found degrowth people in the room with us right now. Because this whole degrowth thing seems to be something wholly manufactured by you.
Again, remember I just showed you an article which was the first Google search result, and it's from the World Economic Forum talking about degrowth. And Jason is saying Caleb invented it.
I'm sure you have found tweets from a couple nut jobs in a very few small, nearly insignificant sources, and you think it's this global, worldwide conspiracy by the international bankers. But trust me, there really is no such thing actually going on. In fact, we keep going forward and driving this entire planet towards its inevitable destruction. So the protests have certainly started to get out of hand. A teenager was shot after he was driving a tractor towards the police. Now, of course, ACAB, but if you drive a tractor at the police, you know what's going to happen.
Oh my god, what the fuck, dude? Come on. Look at this guy. Alright, and it's like, you know, funnily enough, that reasoning applies to when, like, anarchists attack the police. And the reason it does is because you're the, like, conscious leftist doing this out of your, like, civil, political consciousness. Those farmers are just normal people that are doing it out of their spontaneous, non-ideologically motivated rage. They're not doing it out of ideology. They're doing it as, like, an authentic expression of their... They're not doing it because they're trying to, like, achieve, like, a plan for a revolution or some shit. It's like, this doesn't even apply to them in the way that it would apply to, like, Chaz, anarchists, or black bloc people or whatever, right? It's like, what a stupid thing to say, Jason. What a stupid, stupid thing to say.
And if you're willing to make that sacrifice, then that's totally up to you. But don't get mad when your actions create very obvious consequences. Especially when you're doing it in favor of the rich, and so forth. Now, if this really was about degrowth and all that, why are these pantsocks not up in arms now about China? China has decided to take tons of farmland and return it to nature.
Probably because China plans on increasing agricultural outputs by to a great extent. Probably because China's more of a planned economy where they don't just bankrupt farmers and just tell them to kick rocks. They have plans for, you know, how to, like, readjust people to new ways of life and stuff, and they actually give people alternatives. And they plan based on what's in the interests of the whole people and the particular sections of the population. Probably because of that. Probably because China's not limiting its agricultural outputs, Jason. And what do you mean? They're making agriculture more intensive and more efficient. So you need less farmland for that. What's wrong with that?
So they're deliberately destroying farmland. And because we know that material reality is now infinite according to Maupin, why?
Actually, Frederick Engels said that. Actually, Frederick Engels said that the idea of the universe having a beginning and no end was just as ridiculous as the idea of it having an end with no beginning. And Frederick Engels did believe matter was eternal and infinite. He did believe that. Frederick Engels did not think that the material world was, going to all end one day. He thought the earth would end one day, sure, but like the material world is infinite, according to materialism. Jason, like, aren't you the anti-religious, super hardcore materialist? So according to that view, material reality is infinite.
Why are they not up in arms about the Chinese degrowth policy that's now being put through?
Because it's not a degrowth policy at all. That's why.
That they are so adamantly against. Where is it? Why aren't they up in arms about this? And instead,
why aren't you up in arms? Probably because it's probably difficult for you to raise your arms.
Instead, coming to the aid of rich landlords, very much like what they did with the trucker convoy in Canada.
Yeah, those truckers who were in debt were actually landlords. Who knew?
The so-called Freedom Convoy being led by a guy who said that the numbers of dead in the Holocaust were exaggerated. That Caleb didn't know about because he didn't research the guy who was leading the protest.
Why are you making it seem like that guy is our thought leader, right? Like, do you think that that has anything to do with why that person was in the trucker protests, Who cares what people believe individually? Like, people believe in aliens and shit. That's not what's decisive. Only when it's decisive does it matter. Yeah. Someone like that is like making that the basis of their politics. Of course, that's disgusting. Of course, we have to denounce that. 100%. But it's not the basis. It's just some dumb belief he has on the side. Just like some dumb schizo belief like aliens and reptilians or whatever. Who gives a fuck, right?
Which very much tells you that he's either a liar or he's incompetent. So, I think it's really important to understand not only just exactly who these farmers are, what they represent.
And now the farmers are getting blamed for some random Canadian like schizo guy. Like, it's so fucking stupid, right?
What they're doing and what they're about.
If you guys haven't talked to working class people, I'm sorry to tell you this, but they have a lot of wacky views all over the place, all right? All over the fucking place, all right? I'm sorry. If you can't accept that fact, you need to quit this whole socialism, communism thing, because you're never going to be able to just talk to normal people, right? Sorry to tell you this. You've never talked to a working class person in your life if you don't think normal workers do entertain a lot of wacky conspiracy theories, including anti-Semitic ones. It's just a fact.
But to also understand the context in which it appears. So, efforts to not destroy the planet by switching to another kind of fertilizer.
See, all of these conspiracy theories, that's just the immediate form of an individual's skepticism, right? That doesn't mean that's the hill they're going to die on, ultimately. It doesn't mean they're that invested in it. It just means that they read some shit on the internet once, and then they decided to make this the symbol of their skepticism toward the status quo, right?
And having regulations is not the same thing as lining people up and having to shoot them. That's not Malthusianism. That's just trying to save the planet.
Well, Malthusians don't technically plan on shooting anyone. They do plan on killing off the population through can't mention it on YouTube, but let's say through the thing that people in the crow masks, the doctors, right, and in Halloween are responding to, things like that. Things like encouraging people to have less kids. Things like making it more expensive to have kids. Things like starvation, you know, things like that, malnutrition. Things like serious damages to public health.
Malthusian is when you softly deny the existence of COVID, oppose all restrictions, oppose vaccines on it, leading to the deaths of the public, particularly the elderly, the already immunocompromised, so that the convenience of most and the profits of the elite can flow.
We can't even say anything about this topic at all, so I'm just going to let him say what he wants.
That is Malthusian. That is what you are doing.
That's what Caleb is doing. Sorry, come again. How is Caleb doing that?
But that's not something you really want to talk about. Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over.
Powerful. 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 This dude is powerful. All right, and now
West.
let's check in on our fucking like YouTube enemies. Why not?
West here, who are just not
saying they're
the Maoist street code with the obnoxious anarchist.
Hey comrades, and welcome back to the channel. I'm the obnoxious anarchist.
Alright, well this is the Maoist street code. Let's check on this guy. So
Ladies and gentlemen, we got Gene Mansfield is no longer a member of the Center for Political Innovation. Victory has officially been achieved. This is the Yankee Tanky signing out.
why did he choose
Ladies
this
and
music?
Gentlemen, we got Gene Mansfield is no longer a member of the Center for Political Innovation. Victory has officially been achieved. This is the Yankee Tanky signing out.
Okay. Imagine this being your personal victory. Yeah, we did it. All right. What else is he about? Let's look at this intro. This is an interesting intro, right?
We can build a better society, and we can do it.
This guy just goes in public and just yells at people? Why?
Through collective action, we can build a society in which workers do not need to be exploited and instead can live in prosperity.
Political organized 21st century socialists. Revolutionary patriots. This is the Yankee Tanky.
All right, if you guys want to know why we ditched the Pat Sock label, here it is. All right, this is why we're not Pat Socks anymore. This guy single-handedly ruined it. He single-handedly ruined it for us. So we don't call ourselves that anymore. We're Mecha Tankies now, okay? We're Mecha Tankies. We are not Pat Socks at all. Almost single-handedly because of this guy.
Hey guys, the Yankee Tanky here. So today I'm going to be talking about climate change and what the socialist perspective...
This is the new Jason Unruh. This is like the next Jason. This is Jason. This is patriotic Jason.
...on climate change should be. But before we get going, let me just say this. Without your financial contributions, nothing Yankee Tanky could be produced. All of our camera footage, all of the internet access, any type of sound...
Don't these fucking people bitch all day on Twitter that I apparently beg for money? Did I ask for money once on this stream at all? Have I asked for money ever? I don't think I've ever done that ever. I don't think I've ever asked. I've never begged from... I've told you guys to like the stream. Like, this dude right off the... You know why I never did that? Because I always thought it was shameful. I was like, I don't feel entitled to your money before I prove myself. I want to actually grow first and prove I can capture an audience. And then I'll start monetizing it, you know, so that if people who already like what I do can continue to support me, right? But like, when you're starting off at 0 viewers and you're already begging for money, I think it's shameful because I feel like you should prove you're actually worthy of people's attention first by proving you can get views in the first place, right? And yeah.
Equipment that we're able to purchase in the future, advanced cameras and things of that nature, none of that will be possible without your contribution. So, feel free to check out the description below in this video. You can check out and see that we have a Cash App and PayPal that you can send a
By the way, how many people like this stream? Let me see. 826 votes and 610 likes. Like the fucking stream now. It's a 200 fucking vote disparity. Like the fucking stream right now, motherfuckers.
Contribution to. Also, feel free to make sure you like, subscribe if you're not currently already subscribed. And don't forget to hit that little notification bell over there. That'll allow you to know when I'm putting out content. That way you can be as informed as humanly possible. So, without further ado, let's talk about climate change and what the socialist perspective on climate change should be. Now, if you haven't noticed, there's a lot of conversation on the interwebs and the televisions and the radios and all of these different technologies right now. Everyone...
This is a future influencer in the making. This is the next content creator.
But attention is time and time is money. Ergo.
Thank you so much, Jan. I appreciate you, man. This is a future, and I can tell this guy's gonna make it.
...was talking about climate change. And we've actually been talking about this for quite a bit of time. Since at least the 1980s, at least.
All right, I don't have patience for these ones, but I want to just check the shorts.
The Yankee Tanky here just wanted to quick say why I don't agree with everything that Pan American has said. I have to stand in solidarity with him. We have to fight against Haas and the infrared community. There's no way around it.
Why not? What do you mean there's no way around it? Can't you just ignore us? How are we blocking your path, Yankee Tanky? What do you mean there's no way around it? There's no way around it. We have to do it. There's no way around it. We can't just like do our own thing. We can't just like mind our own business. There's no way around it. We have to stop them. Why? Just go do your own thing. Fucking stupid.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, so this is a public service announcement for the city of Pittsburgh. You do not want to become New York City. You do not want your city to start smelling like piss. Stop closing down your public restrooms, you fucking idiots. Okay, so this is...
Ladies and gentlemen. Hey guys, the Yankee Tanky here. So I don't have time for a full-on video right now, but I just found out that Julian Assange is being extradited into the United States. We should be against that.
We can build a better society, and we can do it through collective action. We can build a society in which workers do not need to be exploited and instead can live in prosperity.
You know, just here I am on my way to Chicago so I can get my rear to Pittsburgh. Here we go. The Yankee Tanky signing out.
Great. Beautiful. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay. There's something I wanted to watch, and it's by Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson. He talks about communism.
Bad.
Is communism fueled by love or hatred?
As far as I'm concerned, the working class.
For the Anti-Yankee Tanky Fund.
Thank you so much, Captain Waffles. Appreciate you so much, man.
Needs a voice. And it isn't obvious that they have one at the moment. Having said that, however, it isn't obvious to me at all that the people who purport to stand for the working class actually do so, or that if they do so, that the reason they do so is because they're all compassionate and sympathetic and loving and kind and saint-like. I'm more convinced by Orwell's argument. So back to the NDP. The people I met at the leadership level, a lot of them I had a fair bit of admiration for, but as I worked with the party over about a 5-year period, there was this contradiction that kept emerging for me, and that was that I didn't really like the low-level party functionary activist types. Like, they just weren't personally appealing to me. They seemed peevish and resentful. And then, at the same time, I was going to college. I was about 17. I got elected to sit on the college board of governors, and at that time, Alberta was conservative, politically, right? It still is, of course, but it was part of the progressive conservative empire, because they ruled Alberta forever. And all the Board of Governor members were basically nominees, right? They were conservative nominees, so these were conservative people. And I was an NDP member, and I thought, and I'd worked for small businessmen too who weren't NDP. They were conservative. I could never figure that out, but I'll tell you about that in a minute. But I had a bad case of cognitive dissonance because it actually turned out that I admired the people on the Board of Governors. And they were mostly, it was in Grand Prairie, it's not a very big place, and it's not very old. And so if you were reasonably successful in Grand Prairie, the probability that you had inherited your money from the aristocracy was like 0, because there wasn't one, right? The whole damn town was 50 years old. So if you had any influence...
Is it wearing sunglasses inside cringe? It is, but my eyes are genuinely tired from this fucking ring light.
Or wealth, you were a small businessman, small to middle-sized businessman, and you knew what you were doing. And I actually admired these people. I thought, well, that's not very good. I admire them, and I don't share their political views. And then there's these other people with whom I hypothetically share political views, and I don't admire them at all. What's going on? And then I read Road to Whig and Peer, and I thought, oh, that's it. They don't like the poor, they just hate the rich.
That's actually facts. That's actually facts. That is such facts. They hate people that they feel entitled to be, because they're jealous of. They don't give a fuck about actual, like, poor people. That's such facts. That's such fucking facts. Working class people actually have their own way of life, and they don't actually envy the rich, right? They don't want to be in, like, boutique, fucking poshy, whatever, fucking galleries, modern art galleries and shit. Working class people want to fucking go mudding, right? They want to go mudding, big trucks, and fucking, go on boats in lakes with beer and shit. That's what they like to do. They don't like to do the same things rich people like to do, right? So it's usually people who expected they were going to be rich and failed. Like, they were born into a rich family and they failed to become rich, so that's why they're leftists now. That's usually how it always is.
It's not the same thing. It's not the same set of motivations. And so let's say that you're a postmodernist and you privilege compassion for the oppressed. Think, well, what do you push to the margins? Well, what are you
I don't think postmodernists do that.
doing with all your hatred and your resentment and your evil? It's like, you don't have any of that? That's a bad theory. That's a really bad theory. Okay, so fine. So you can say, well, yeah, you can say that, but I don't buy it. I still think...
I want to talk to Jordan Peterson. How do I talk to him? I'm not famous enough. I would have a friendly talk, right? I wouldn't yell at him or anything, but I want to talk to him.
I think that the people who stand to speak for the oppressed are in fact motivated by empathy and sympathy. Their hearts are in the right place. See, I don't really buy that either, because I don't really think, generally speaking, that it's a credible claim for someone to make that their heart is in the right place. Now, you can ask that of yourself, and if you think your heart is in the right place.
Damn, he's got my hairline, man. He's like doing that thing where he pushes his hair forward.
Well, more...
See it? Damn, bruh. I feel for that, man. But he's old. He's like an old man. I'm 25, right? I'm getting a guys, I will never look like this. I will never have that, right? I'm getting a transplant. Or I'm going bald. I'm not doing that. There's a limit to this, okay? There's a big limit.
More power to you, you know? I can't see the halo from here, however. And so given that you're just as malevolent as your neighbor, or maybe even more so.
I think this is kind of facts. I think he's kind of spitting facts. What do you guys think? I kind of like this idea that leftists disguise their own evil through their virtue signaling of being for the oppressed. I think that's facts. Look at the leftists who I've made enemies of, right? Look how disgusting, depraved, and psychotic these people are. All in the name of the oppressed, right? Very sick people. I think he's right about this from personal experience, right?
And that's actually pretty malevolent given the intrinsic nature of human beings. I can't help but wonder what you're doing with all those traits that you're not admitting to.
I kind of fuck with this, right? See, I have evil traits. I admit to them, right? I admit to my evil traits. I don't fucking justify it in the name of the oppressed. I do have personal vices, pathologies, and shit, right? I'm not a fucking angel. I'm very petty a lot of the time. Very petty.
But you could even object, well, you know, that's a pretty pessimistic view of humankind. It's not, by the way. It's just not naive. But anyways, you could object that, and you could say, no, actually, the weight of moral authority is, in fact, on the left, even the radical left, with those who identify with the oppressed and who are working to better their conditions. Okay.
I feel like, let me add to what he says. I feel like the issue isn't not only is that they don't admit to their evil, but that they channel their pathological evil when they're actually claiming to be fighting on behalf of the oppressed. So, for example, I'll give you an example of what leftists do on social media and online. They will try to, like, kill, torture, sadistically terrorize, beat to death, wish death upon people, yada, yada, yada. And this is actually like a sadistic, very evil form of enjoyment that has no ideological content at all. And they disguise this in the form of like righteously fulfilling and defending the oppressed, right? So I think that's the issue, is that they don't actually, whereas me, right, as far as my evil, like competing with my fellow man is concerned, right? Let's just put it that way. I always try to distance that from the politics. I always try to say some shit like, yo, politics isn't going to make you good looking. Politics isn't going to make you built. Politics isn't going to make you get more bitches. Politics isn't going to make you less of a loser, right? If you're a fucking loser, you're a loser. Kick rocks, right? Politics isn't going to make you skilled at anything. Politics isn't going to make you funny. It's not going to make you charming. It's not going to make you somebody you would want to be around, right? And that's why on Twitch I would do so much normie shit, because I'm trying to show you guys you can't legislate this politically. You can't justify this morally. You have to actually fight in this dog-eat-dog world. Don't fucking bitch out in the name of your ideology or politics. You are in a dog-eat-dog world, okay? Only after you acknowledge that and you carve out some kind of place for yourself in this dog-eat-dog world will I ever take you seriously as someone claiming to fight for the people or fight for the oppressed, right? Unless you have actually proven your mettle in this dog-eat-dog world, I will never fucking respect you, period.
Good morning, Revolution.
Good morning, Revolution. Thank you so much, Madeline. Appreciate you.
Fair enough. So then let's say, well, let's give those people some power. And if they're actually motivated by compassion and empathy and desire for the working class, if you give them power and you give their ideas power, then as those ideas unfold in real time, you're going to find out, like, do things get better for the working class, let's say, or do they get worse? Because we could consider that like an experiment. We could consider the outcome proof. I don't know what else you would do. I don't know how else you would come to your decision, because it's just theory till you see it happen. Now, Nietzsche said back in the 18...
He's gonna blame communism, not knowing that the people who Stalin and Mao were purging left and right were these resentful, fucking bitter intelligentsia leftists who always oppress the people, right, with their power. So he doesn't even understand that, yeah, they did make life better for the working people. Stalin and Mao. It's precisely because they purged these fucking leftist pieces of shit.
Late 1800s, that after he said that God was dead, and I suppose that would also mean the theory of suffering that I outlined at the beginning that is at the basis of Judeo-Christian civilization, that God was dead and that people had killed him and that we'd never find enough water to wash away the blood. It's a paraphrase, but I've got the basic message right. And he also said there'll be two consequences of that: nihilism, because there's no transcendent meaning, and a move to totalitarianism because people can't tolerate nihilism. And he said the most likely pathway to totalitarianism would be communism, essentially. He didn't quite use those words, but he meant that. The words are close enough. He said socialism, but I'm going to use communism to distinguish it from democratic socialism. And he said that...
Why? The democratic socialism is the thing you're talking about, not communism. Communism is based, Mr. Peterson.
Probably tens of millions of people would die in the 20th century as we played out that experiment. And then he said, but it might be worth it if we learn something from it. Rough, man. I mean, and unbelievable. Like, I cannot figure out how in the world he knew that was going to happen.
He didn't. Just tens of millions of people die all the time. Way more people died from capitalism or non-communist related factors.
Especially so far in advance. But Dostoevsky knew the same thing. He wrote this book called The Devils, or The Possessed. You could read that. That's a great book. It takes about 150 pages to get going. But once it like everything snaps together after that, you know, and then it moves. And it's basically his prophecy about, it's an examination of the kind of person who had arisen in the aftermath of the death of God in Russia, who would lead the communist revolution. That's essentially it. It's brilliant. It's terrifying. And
it's not, because Dostoevsky was dealing with these radical circles, and he was exposed to these types of people. He was exposed to these revolutionaries, so he understood their personalities and so on. So he's not being a prophet about anything. He's critiquing his contemporaries.
It's a great intro to Solzhenitsyn's Gulag Archipelago, which describes what did happen when those sort of people took over the revolution. So
yeah, but like, Jordan, don't you know those same people were purged by Stalin later? So, yeah, I'll admit that initially, yeah, it was pretty bad. But that's maybe a tragical inevitability, right? Of any revolution. That the bastards will get in power first.
Let's look at what happened after the revolution. And we might say, well, how about we replicate the experiment a few times? Because you know how it is.
The question is, where does that evil come from? Does it come from the revolution, or does it come from before the revolution? I think it comes before the revolution. I think that evil is attributable to the very evil the revolution was trying to overcome, and which it did eventually overcome. I think this was the inner jihad of the revolution. Fighting against this evil that it originally, sought to eliminate. That's how I interpret it.
If you're running a scientific experiment, you want to find out what something does if you allow it to behave. You don't want to just run it once because, well, maybe there was something specific about those conditions that led to the outcome. You want to generalize it across multiple circumstances. So we might say, well, let's take this set of ideas and let's run it on a large scale over a very long period of time in a variety of exceptionally diverse cultures and languages. So let's do that. Okay, well, we could first start with the Soviets. People, even now, because it's like the 100th anniversary of the Russian Revolution, are celebrating Lenin. It's like, that's not good. That's like celebrating Hitler.
Explain.
Okay, I'm dead serious about that. It's not good. And the fact that people can dare to think that that's okay means that there's something wrong with the way that we look at history. Lenin was a monster. And
how?
If you want to know about that, you can read Solzhenitsyn's writings about Lenin.
Oh, you mean the famous bullshitter Solzhenitsyn who got caught lying multiple times? That's Solzhenitsyn? You mean Solzhenitsyn, who was just like pretty much sharing his opinion? Who was, Solzhenitsyn, Mr. Peterson, was like an extremely, you could even say like reactionary, not saying in a derogatory sense, but like he was a very Russian traditionalist, right? So he was holding the Soviet Union to a very high standard, right? And then when he went to the liberal West, he realized, holy fuck, liberal capitalism is way worse. I was just mad that the Soviets, gave women some equality and shit. It's not like these blue hair fucking degenerates running around. Holy fuck, I want to run back to the Soviet Union and kiss that red flag. He didn't say that, but it's like, he realized, holy shit, everything I thought that was evil about the Soviet Union, the capitalist West was way, way, way worse. It's almost like he was like a privileged baby who took it for granted, right? And that is the experience of a lot of Russian conservatives, actually.
The communist apologists say, well, it wasn't Lenin. Lenin was a good guy. He was all motivated by love of the working class. It's like, well, his henchman was Stalin. And if your henchman is Stalin, you're not a good guy.
What's wrong with Stalin?
And Lenin was around during the early collectivization. And if you read what he wrote,
no, he wasn't. Okay, I mean, dude, he was not. All right, if you're talking about war communism, that was during the Civil War, where the Soviet Union was invaded by every major power in the world, and it was life or death, sure, and people were about to starve in the cities, sure. It was very harsh and brutal policy, war communism, but after that, they did not have any collectivization.
You'll find out that he was perfectly willing to have any number of people die as long as his ideological system could be brought into being.
No. He was perfectly willing to have any number of people die before he would ever allow the sovereignty of this new state to be surrendered. And by the way, that is a heroic thing, Mr. Jordan Peterson. When Alexander the Great was besieging one of the famous Levantine city-states, I forget which one, and he discovered that this entire city-state was going to commit collective suicide before surrendering to him, he found that so honorable and so worthy of respect that he backed off. He said, you know what? They're all willing to die. That's how much they believe in whatever, right? That's sovereignty. That's why there's war, Jordan Peterson. What is the slogan of the liberal American Revolution? Give me liberty or give me death. So yes, Lenin, in his capacity as a statesman, will not surrender the sovereignty of the state. I think that's an admirable thing. He will not surrender his sovereignty to foreigners. He will not surrender them to these aristocrats and landowners. He's not going to surrender them to the French banks that the Tsar was in debt to. No. Give me liberty or give me death. I think that's a very admirable thing. I think in his capacity as a statesman, that's the only honorable thing one can do. When one is faced with the question of submit or die. Should Stalin have capitulated to the Nazis, since that may have led to less deaths, potentially, right? At least in the immediate sense. I mean, 30 million Soviets died in that war. Maybe the Nazis' extermination would have just been on a longer time scale. Jordan Peterson, a state is the universal incarnation of a people. It is the representative of a people. It is the people, insofar as they can articulate an interest and a reality. When a state forfeits its sovereignty and submits to its enemy, be it the enemies of the people, aka the former stratum, which excluded 90% of the population from the reality of the state, or foreigners who planned on carving up Russia and stealing its resources and enslaving its people, it is your responsibility to defend the sovereignty of your state at all costs. Even on bond of great tragedy and death. It's a war to the death, no surrender. That's what Lenin believed. Why should he have surrendered? For some humanitarian reason to preserve life? Isn't it you who says, Jordan Peterson, that life in and of itself must be meaningful? Is there not a threshold at which point life must be sacrificed for the sake of meaning? Everyone believes that. You believe that, don't you? When you go to war when someone invades your country, should you just surrender to the enemy because it's going to lead to less retaliations? Jordan Peterson, let me ask you a question. If an invader invades your homeland, and you take up arms to fight against this invader, and as a consequence, the invader bombs your villages, kills your women and children, starves your people, millions die, should you surrender to the enemy or should you keep fighting? I think you would agree with me, Jordan Peterson. I think you would agree with me. I think we should have a talk. Dr. Peterson. My apologies. Dr. Peterson. We should talk about this because I think you would agree with me. It's not about an ideology. This is a concrete reality. This is a concrete struggle between the narod, the people, and their enemies. Remember, 90% of the Russian people were completely non-existent for the Tsar's state. They did not exist. They were nothing. They were less than animals. They weren't part of modern civilization proper whatsoever. Only the Soviet state gave them recognition.
So there's no celebrating Lenin. There's no we're cool.
I think there is. I think there is celebrating Lenin. I think there is celebrating Lenin as the Prometheus, who gave the Russian people, for the first time in modern history, recognition. I think he deserves to be celebrated for that.
Young Marxist hip revolutionaries and he's our idol. It's like, there's none of that. Not if you know anything. Not if you're decent.
I think I'm decent.
Well, there was the death of the kulaks, I told you about that. There was the Ukrainian famine, that's 6 million gone there.
Jordan Peterson, is there any transition from pre-modern agriculture to industrial agriculture or industrialization that does not involve a calamitous loss of life? What happened in the Soviet famine compared to the atrocities that gave rise to European modernity? Surely you're aware of the turmoil of late feudalism or early capitalism, be it within Europe or abroad. You know as well as I do the human price of the industrialization of the modern West. So why is Russia a unique evil for trying to independently pursue a modernization? The first country to pursue this independent modernization, of course there's bound to be a catastrophe and a disaster, because it originally was that, right? So what, they should have submitted to the Western capitalist powers, forfeited their own sovereignty?
There was the rise of the Gulag state because it turned out that Russia, the Soviet Union, couldn't run on the principles that it had laid down as sacrosanct. They just didn't work, so you had to...
Well, I'll tell you this much. At the height of the Soviet Gulag system, as a proportion of the total Soviet population, there are far more people in US prisons as a proportion of their relationship to the population. The per capita imprisonment rate is far, far higher in the United States than at the peak of the Soviet gulags.
Enslave everybody and run your economy.
No, the gulags comprised not the entire population. So I don't know why you're saying they enslaved everyone.
As a slave state, essentially.
Penal labor had existed in every country, Jordan Peterson. It was a norm. Is it slavery? Well, if you're going to say it's slavery, at least say that there's nothing especially egregious about the Soviet system.
And try not to kill the people in the gulags so fast that you can't suck some productive labor out of them. There's the death of tens of millions of people. We don't even know. The estimates range from 15 to 60 million. And
can you show me where you're getting those estimates?
Like, we won't get too picky about the numbers because after the first 10 million, you kind of made your point. And the fact that we don't know between 15 and 60 is actually an indication of the horror.
No, I think it's an indication of the extent to which anti-Soviet scholars have tried to demonize the Soviet Union and Soviet history. I think that's what it's an indication of.
Of it. Because our count is off by tens of millions. And that's only within the last century. And then there was the 1956 crackdown on Hungary and the 1968 invasion of Czechoslovakia. Then there was the whole, like, thermonuclear Holocaust thing that was going on at the...
The invasion of Hungary and the invasion of Czechoslovakia, nothing in comparison to the United States' actions to promote the policy of containment of communism. There, the Soviet Union is being begged by the party leaders of the respective countries to come and fix the situation. They obliged. Now you blame the fault of thermonuclear confrontation exclusively on the Soviets. Dr. Peterson, are you familiar with Operation Unthinkable, where Churchill wanted to exterminate the entire Soviet population? And the only reason Operation Unthinkable was not pursued was because the Soviet Union acquired nuclear weapons in self-defense. Dr. Peterson, I recommend you reevaluate your grasp of the history of the 20th century.
at the same time, and the fact that in 1962 and in 1984, we were seconds away from complete annihilation, right? During the Cuban Missile Crisis, the keys were...
Dr. Peterson, who had invented nuclear weapons? Please enlighten us. Who created them and who used them?
In the intercontinental ballistic missile release systems, and Castro, as he admitted to Jimmy Carter, in case any of you are Castro fans, which you shouldn't be, that
I am.
He was perfectly willing to have Cuba annihilated if it would have meant the defeat of the United States.
Based. That's a hero. That's the stuff of heroism. You believe in the West, right, Dr. Peterson? This is a Greek hero. This is a classical hero. Roman and Greek hero. What was the Roman saying? The Roman saying was, "It is sweet and noble to die for one's country." That comes from the Romans. It's a famous Roman saying. This is the legacy of the West, of the logocentric West, which is a great and honorable legacy, actually. This is honor. Honor has stakes, Dr. Peterson. You seem like Nietzsche's last man. You don't believe in sacrifice. You don't believe in high stakes. You don't believe in willing to risk the annihilation of the cosmos for the sake of principle, for the sake of honor, for the sake of justice. You are not Western enough, Dr. Peterson.
And then in 1984, approximately, I may have the date exactly wrong, the Russians received an indication from their early warning systems that the Americans had launched 5 thermonuclear missiles, and one Russian decided that it was a mistake and refused to launch the retaliation.
So how is that an indictment on the Soviet Union?
He just died about 2 weeks ago. So, you know, that was pretty close. And so that was experiment number 1, let's say. That wasn't good, that experiment. Let's put it that way. It wasn't good. It was exactly the antithesis of good. It was precisely the antithesis of good. But that wasn't all. I mean, there's the People's Republic of China. That's a different country. Like, seriously, a different country, right? Different tradition, different language. How many people died in China under Mao? No one
1 zillion.
knows.
500 trillion.
Same issue with the Soviet Union, although Mao was a bigger monster than Stalin, and that's impressive, you know, because there's Hitler, there's Stalin, and there's Mao. And of the 3, Mao was probably the worst. He's still revered in China.
He's revered by me, Haas. I revere him. We revere him here. Dr. Peterson, you are making me want to get a Mao poster in my room. I've never done that because it's cringe. Also, I don't ever get posters of communist leaders. It's like, that's where I bust a nut in my room, and their likeness is looking at me. That's disgusting. That's dishonorable. That's shameful, right? So that's why I don't do that. But, you know, other than that.
Maybe that accounts for their affinity for North Korea, which could still destroy us all, the remnants of that horrible state. Maybe 100 million people died in China during the Great Leap Forward.
Did he just diss North Korea too? Jordan, don't you always talk about tradition and honor? That is North Korea. That is China. What are you complaining about? You either have communism or you have your Nietzschean last man. Choose. Your Western hedonist consumerism or communism. Choose.
That's a hell of a leap forward. Well, maybe it wasn't 100 million, you know, maybe it was only 40 million. But as I said before, when you're counting in the tens of millions, your point's already made. And then there was Cambodia and the killing fields, and Bulgaria and East Germany, and Romania and the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, that's North Korea, and Vietnam.
Based Korea. Based Korea. Based Korea. Based Korea. Based Korea.
In Ethiopia, Hungary, etc., etc., etc. It was never a successful communist state. Cuba, I suppose, came closest, but it was radically... the Soviets poured money into Cuba, so that doesn't really count.
The Soviets poured money into China too. What do you mean? Okay. What kind of excuse is that? Okay.
So then the first question was, well, are these Marxists motivated by love or hatred?
Look, I sympathize with him because I sympathize with who he's doing this against. He's doing this against and as opposed to like people I also despise. But I think he's throwing out the baby with the bathwater, you know? So I don't take it personally, right? I just ideologically disagree with him.
Well,
I don't personally dislike Jordan Peterson. I don't. I don't personally dislike him. I just think he's wrong about a lot of things.
is it love or hatred that produces 100 million dead people? And is that enough evidence or not?
Actually, love. Not even kidding, it's love. Love will make you do crazy things. Things we do for love. Hatred is very impotent, right? Hatred will just land you in jail. It's love that's going to let you nuke the world, right? No joke, I'm not even kidding. Read Zizek if you don't understand this. Zizek talks about this. I think Jordan, he doesn't like the Jesus that came with a sword. Jesus said, I have not come to you to bring peace. I have come with a sword. Right? That's what Jesus said. I think Jordan is ignoring that Jesus too much.
And if it's not enough evidence, if you think to yourself, well, that's not enough evidence, it was never really given its proper try.
No, that's bullshit. Of course communism was tried. It's already a thing.
It's like, well, what would have been a proper try?
Why
See,
do
I
lives
always
love
think
Hu
when I hear
Jintao
someone
and
say
hate
that,
Xi
I know what you
Jinping?
think.
Same reason. Thank you so much, Bobby, for the 10. Appreciate you so much, man.
You think in your delusional arrogance.
Yellow in this bitch. We're yellow like Mr. Krabs cooking into red. Isn't it interesting Mr. Krabs was red? When a crab is only red after it's cooked?
That you understand the Marxist doctrines better than anyone else ever has, and that if you were the one implementing those doctrines...
This is actually a smart criticism. Like, why do these Marxists think they're smarter than entire fucking states that had the entire, like, hundreds of millions of people at their disposal?
Can you dedicate an entire episode to the Sino-Soviet split, please? Maybe Glasnost Perestroika next?
Thank you so much, Sean Sanchez. We're blue in here. We're green-blue in here. Like the deep sea. The shallow sea. And yeah, I might do that. Who knows? Maybe we'll do it tomorrow. It depends on what topics there are.
You would have ushered in the utopia. That's what you mean when you say that. And, you know, they say, and there's an idea in the New Testament that there's a sin, it's the sin against the Holy Ghost. If you commit that sin, no one really knows what it is, that you can't be forgiven. And I would say, well, if you want a candidate for the sin against the Holy Ghost in the 21st century, the statement, real communism was never tried, with the underlying idea that if you had been...
I think I agree with that, but for different reasons.
The person...
That is a sin against the Holy Ghost.
Implementing it...
The sin against the Holy Ghost, because communism is the Holy Ghost, and it has been tried, and it was successful, and it is successful.
Would have worked. I think that's a pretty good contender for something for which you should never be forgiven.
I agree.
All right, so that's Marxism.
Can I confess, I like Jordan, man. I never understood Jordan Peterson before, but I like him, man. I think Jordan got swag. I like dark Jordan Peterson. I like dark Jordan, man. Jordan Peterson, he's got swag, man. He's got darkness. He represents Jordan Peterson, he's swagalicious, man. I can't explain it. He's got that dark aura about him, right? If you mention Jordan Peterson in front of a bunch of NPCs, they're all going to get triggered, right? So Jordan Peterson represents some aura, some vague, very ambiguously vague aura of based, right? All he has to do is convert to Marxism, Leninism, and become a Stalinist. Imagine Stalin as Jordan Peterson. What a based guy that would be, right? So he has the aura of based. It's just that when he speaks, it's not that based, right? But like he needs to correct his ideological position. And I think he would be cool. I think he would be cool if he did that. Jordan, he's a man defined by his enemies, right? And that's what it is. That's why he's so charming. Because he's a man defined primarily by his enemies, right? And that's what I like about him. Thank you so much, Adnan.
I love you, us. No homo.
Thank you so much, Adnan. You guys know what the hardest thing it is for me to say to anyone? Anyone at all? It's that L word. I can't say that to anyone. I cannot say that word for some reason. I just cannot say that to anyone. Even a friend. I can't even say it to friends. When friends are like, oh, I love you, Haas. I'm like, appreciate you, man. I can't say that word. I just can't. I don't know why. Jordan Peterson is on a roll, bro. He's got a message to Christian churches. Ignacio.
I've been a conservative libertarian my whole life and just found this channel a month ago. Never thought I would agree so much. USA, son, gorilla.
Thank you so much, Ignacio. Shout out, Ignacio. You're on that mecha tanky grind. Jordan Peterson is just giving messages to religious groups. He gave a message to Muslims. I'm going to look at his message to Christian churches.
Hi, all. It is, of course, completely presumptuous of me to dare to write and broadcast a video entitled Message to the Christian Churches, but I'm going to do it anyway.
This is the Martin Luther of our time, bro.
Because I have something to say, and because that something needs to be
I like him, man. I like Jordan, man. I like him. He doesn't give a fuck, man. He doesn't give a fuck, bro. He's man. This is a gangster, man. He's a gangster. This is a gangster. I like this guy, man. He doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't give a fuck, man. I really like Jordan, man. Shout out Jordan Peterson. Shout out Jordan Peterson. He doesn't give a fuck, man. He don't give a shit. Message to the Christian. Message to this. Message to that. This dude.
Communism saved the Chinese nation and China saved communism.
Very true. Thank you so much for that dono. But you're right. Very true. But guys, shout out Jordan Peterson. This dude called Twitter staff sons of bitches, and he said he would rather die than delete his tweet. I like this dude.
Said.
Jordan Unleashed.
I've been speaking to and watching and listening to audiences all over the Western world for the past 4 years, in person and in virtual form, and have learned a few things in consequence. It all started in some sense with the lectures I did on Genesis.
Thank you so much,
Get
EJ.
Peterson on stream sometime. Let's go.
Oh, that would be a dream, right?
2017. My family and I took a risk and rented out a theater in Toronto on the off chance that there might be an audience for what might be described as a psychological approach to our ancient stories and
lo and behold, and
Jordan don't give a fuck, okay? Jordan does not give a fuck. He doesn't give a shit, man. He just says whatever he wants. Jordan on the loose. Bruh, I for real like him, man. He's on the loose. He's just saying whatever he wants. He doesn't give a fuck. That's a free man. I respect that, man. I respect that, man. I like this dude.
Miracle of miracles. There was. I completed 15 or so lectures walking through the first biblical book. Sold out.
You can't stop him. You cannot stop him. You cannot stop him. He's on a warpath. You cannot stop him.
The theater and attracted, surprisingly, millions of viewers, Christians, Jews, Muslims, and atheists. And most of the people who attended live, and the majority of those who watched online, were young men. That is not a phenomenon that can be easily accounted for. But let me try. Now, in the West, because of the weight of historical guilt that is upon us, a variant of the sense of original sin in a very real sense.
Like how he talks. He just looks at the camera and he's like, and you never quite considered it for that precise reason. But if you knew the truth about the nature of human beings, it would be quite presumptuous and articulate to grasp. Like, I like how he like stares you down and shit. And if you knew what you were real, you know what I mean?
And because of a very real attempt by those possessed by what might be described as unhelpful ideas to weaponize that guilt, our young people face a demoralization that is perhaps unparalleled.
Let me sit like him. I'm not trying to make fun of him. I'm trying to understand the vibe, okay? So this is Jordan. He's sitting like this. So usually a person sits like this. So today I'm going to tell you my ideas, speak to you my ideas. Jordan, he's insistent. He's insistent, right? So he's got something to say, extraordinary. And you need to understand the presumptuous nature. He's got his head poked out like this. You should understand why precisely that would be the case. I would not dare contend with the Twitter mobs of leftists who have attempted to cancel me in their self-indignant and righteous fury. Or would you consider that to be an extension of what you were doing initially? Have it that, you sons of bitches! What a fucking based guy. I'm not even kidding. Not even kidding.
This is particularly true of young men, although anything that devastates young men will eventually do the same to young women. And that, in this era of antinatalism and equally reprehensible nihilism, is precisely the point. When they are children, boys are hectored for their toy preferences, which often include toy weapons such as guns, and their more boisterous playing style, as boys require active rough and tumble play, even more than girls, for whom it is also a necessity. When in grade school, boys are admonished, shamed, and controlled in a very similar manner by those who think
he's leaning in. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. He's getting that extraordinary, swagalicious stare down, poking out.
Play is unnecessary.
Now you know it's serious.
Particularly if it's competitive, and who value a docile, harmless obedience above all. Shades of Dolores Umbridge. Following all that, because that's not enough, even when pursued assiduously for total demoralization, is the inculcation of an extremely damaging ideology, which essentially consists of 3 accusations. Number 1, human culture, particularly in the West, is best construed as an oppressive patriarchy, motivated by the desire, willingness, and ability to use power defined as the compulsion of others against their will,
Bro, are you still talking to the Christian churches? What is going on?
to attain what are purely selfish and self-serving ends. This is true at every level of analysis. Marriage is akin to slavery, friendship to exploitation, political disagreement to war, and business arrangements to deception and theft. And this is true not only of the current social arrangements that characterize our culture, particularly in the West, but also the fundamental reality of history itself. Accusation number 2. Human activity, particularly that undertaken in the West, is fundamentally a planet-despoiling enterprise. The human race is a threat to the ecological utopia that existed before.
Based. He's being based here. Fuck the environmental movement. Based Peterson. Solidarity.
For us, and that could hypothetically exist in our absence. We might well be construed even as a cancer that threatens the very viability of the complex systems that make up the ecosystem of the earth that shelters and supports us. We are facing a Malthusian catastrophe of overpopulation and biosphere degradation. And we have to place extreme limits on our wants, even our needs.
Is he saying this?
So that survival itself, even in a much reduced form, can be guaranteed. Accusation number 3.
Is he rejecting that or is he saying that?
The prime contributor both to the tyranny that makes up the oppressive patriarchy and structures all of our social
he's
interaction.
Against that? Based Peterson. Based Peterson.
Past and present, and the unforgivable despoiling of our beloved Mother Earth is damnable male ambition, competitive and dominating.
Look, the truth is, despite every ideological disagreement, if I was in a room with Jordan Peterson and a bunch of liberals, me and Jordan would be allies. We would be sitting together and defending each other from the liberals. NPCs. That's the truth. That's the truth. Despite all ideological differences, just because we're not NPCs, just because we're going against the grain in some way, we would be in solidarity.
Power-mad, selfish, exploitative, raping, and pillaging. You might think that I'm overstating the case. Think again, sunshine.
Why are you telling this to the Christian churches? It's a message to the Christian churches. Why are you calling them sunshine? What do they do? They didn't do anything.
We in the West are facing an all-out assault at the deepest levels on what that old joker Jacques Derrida deemed the phallogocentric conceptual structure of civilization itself. To take that apart, that's a society centered on the encouraging, adventurous, masculine spirit, and that privileges that hated word of all things, the divine logos. And what should we worship and celebrate properly?
I don't think he's talking about the divine logos. I think he's talking about the Greek logos of philosophy.
Other than that, deconstructionists, the words of that mass murderer Karl Marx?
Yes.
And it is precisely those young men who are deeply conscientious, capable of guilt and regret, who have come to believe in pain that every deep impulse that moves them out into the world for the adventure of their life, even that impulse drawing them to women, is nothing but the manifestation of a spirit that is essentially satanic in nature. This is not only wrong theologically, morally, psychologically, practically, and scientifically. It is literally anti-true. It's not...
In spirit, he's right. It's just... You need to stop talking shit about Marx, bro. But in spirit, he's kind of right.
A mere misstatement about the nature of reality, a minor conceptual error, but something that literally could not be farther from the truth. And something that distant from the truth comes from a place that cannot be distinguished from hell. The Christian church is there to remind people, young men included, and perhaps even first and foremost, that they have a woman to find, a garden to walk in, a family to nurture, an ark to build, a land to conquer, a land.
Yeah, but the church isn't going to teach you how to get pussy. The church isn't going to teach you how to not be cringe. Sorry.
Ladder to heaven to build, and the utter terrible catastrophe of life to face stalwartly in truth, devoted to love, and without fear. Invite the young men back. Say, literally, to those young men, you are welcome here. If no one else wants what you have to offer, we do. We want to call you to the highest purpose of your life. We want your time and energy and effort and your will and your goodwill. We want to work with you to make things better, to produce life more abundant for you and for your wife and children and for your community and your country and the world. And we have our problems in the Christian church. We are moribund and sometimes, far too often, corrupt, and sometimes deeply so. We are outdated, as are all institutions with their roots in the dead, but still often wise past. So join us. We'll help fix you up, and you can help fix us up. And together, we'll aim up. And here's a message to those young men skeptical about such things. What else do you have? You can abandon the churches in your cynicism and disbelief. You can say to yourself, narcissistically and solipsistically, the church does not express what I believe properly. Who cares what you believe? Why is this about you? Do you even want it to be about you? What if it was about others? What if it was about your duty to the past and to the broader community that surrounds you in the present? What if it was incumbent upon you and vital to your health and willingness even to live, to rescue your dead father from the belly of the beast, where he has always resided, and to restore him to life? Once again, to the churches, Protestant, you're the worst at the moment.
Damn.
Catholic.
Damn.
Orthodox. Invite young men. Put up a billboard. Say, young men are welcome here. Print some flyers and put them in a box. I
was about to make a joke, but I don't want to make a joke. I was about to make a joke. I was about to make a joke about one of those churches saying that and how that might be bad optics, but I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it.
By the billboard. Signal the existence of those flyers with an arrow with the words, more information about attending here. Tell those who have never been in a church exactly what to do, how to dress, when to show up, who to contact, and most importantly, what they can do. Ask more.
I have satanic tendencies. Sorry.
Not less.
Make jokes.
Of those you are inviting. Ask more of them than anyone ever has. Remind them who they are in the deepest sense and help them become that. Your churches, for God's sake. Quit fighting for social justice. Quit saving the bloody planet.
I agree with that one.
Tend to some souls. That's what you're supposed to do. That's your holy duty. Do it now, before it's too late. And the hour is nigh.
I like Jordan Peterson. But Protestants, he gave him quite the beatdown.
Hello, everyone. Before diving into this topic, I've got to clarify something. I am reading some of the pieces that I'm producing, and that means that these are things that I wrote. The reason I'm doing that rather than speaking extemporaneously is because now and then, if I'm pushing myself to the limits of my conceptual ability, then I have to choose my words with the undue care that writing allows. And I suppose that has the disadvantage that's associated with reading something rather than speaking off the cuff, but the advantage of precision and care. So today I'm going to read a piece that I entitled, "Why Twitter is Insane."
Bro, I want to start making videos like this. This is inspiring me. I feel like I could do this production quality. How do I do this? Should I just start doing this?
It is often said that social media is driving us out of our minds, individually and collectively. Is this true? And if so, how and why? The eminent social psychologist Jonathan Haidt recently wrote a hard-hitting article showing that use of certain...
I need to start fucking doing this. I swear I'm gonna start doing this. Hello everyone. Today I'm gonna be talking about what I was reading the other day and what I was doing. And I was really considering you never really consider the fact that things are not quite going according. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do it. Message to the Biswall leftists. Y'all are cringe, and you have to fix that. You keep being cringe, you're gonna ruin the good name of communism for all eternity in this country. Should I do it shirtless? Get a nice big home in the country like JP. Oh yeah, I'll just grab the money to do that. Let me just get in my piggy bank to do that. I totally have the money for that. I'll just put a down payment. Why didn't I ever think of that? Only I thought of that. Only I thought of that. Where is it? Here? Okay, I'll play it. Based. Thank you so much, Sankara.
Can you play the Mecha Tanky track I made in original
Thank you so much, Sankara.
I think you'll dig it.
Heating up in here with that yellow. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you. Based. Thank you so much, MIG.
Just because his conclusions are rooted in McCarthyism, the nuts and bolts of his messages are based and they help us bring consciousness to the people.
Yeah. That's kind of true. Thank you so much, MIG. Appreciate you, man. Thank you guys so much for those donos. Appreciate your support. Yeah, I'll listen to your track. I'll listen to your track. Or Skynet sent from 2036 to exterminate the biased world rhetorically. Waste. Tankies 2.0. That's the type of shit that we're on. Waste. Waste. Are Terminators sent from 2036 to terminate all of the fringe elements of the left. Cool. I'll give you hero for that. There you go, you get hero. There you go, you get hero. An Infracord Mods Guide to Enforcing the Rules. Apparently Duck made this. What the fuck is this shit? Let's see. The user Maruna was banned by showrunner. While we can't be sure, it could be because he had named himself Moreno Duck Society's master. Bro, how petty is this shit? You're literally just complaining about people getting banned. In the landmark decision, it was upheld as a legitimate ban, proving that being in a different server makes no difference. I didn't... That doesn't seem reasonable to me. What's going on? These are just complaints about fucking mods using their power in unreasonable ways. The Bombardier versus Korean Bolshevik. The defendant argued that it was okay to make fun of Japanese. Yeah, you can't. You literally can't, according to Discord. I'm not even lying. You can't. The landmark verdict. This is like, what is this fucking infrared common law? It's like a law paper. The moderator signed it with Bombardier. This is literally infrared common law, okay? What the fuck is this? Oh yeah, you can't say that shit. Cute little cyber protector was quarantined because their name was Cute Little Cyber Protector. It could be considered sexual in nature. Bro, we enforce Sharia law. We got fucking... Bro, it's literally the Taliban, bro. This is literally the Taliban. Motherfuckers can't even show ankles out here. That's how strict we are. The verdict held that names that even borderline names could be liable. For a custom status that said nasty nat. Of course you can't say that. Duck versus Zelensky's strongest soldier. The prosecutor argued that another member was in violation of the rule because explicit messages about people's mothers. We continue ban for that. The Discord would be empty. Confirming that your mom jokes are protected from persecution. I don't know if they are. Depends on how explicit they are. If they're explicit, they shouldn't be. If they're like insinuating, if they just like insinuate, then don't ban. But if it's explicit, ban. All right, well, remember always understanding begins with when you get to understanding. Duck Society, Duck of Wall Street. Okay, this is the legal document that I just read on stream. All right. All right.
I seek kick music. Goodbye to the people who trust in me. Yeah. Do you think about me? What's up? Did you think about me? 2013. Sick kick. Goodbye to the people who trust in me. Just win. For all the broken hearts that got played, what we gon' do? We gon' say goodbye. Spending my arms with you, put my trust in you. Movie tickets for two, girl I want you, I got you. Spend my life to find you. I was there for you when you needed me the most, but when my time came, you faded out. In the end, I should've known you were just a heartbreak. I'ma call you Medusa, cause you was just a snake. Listen to my acapella. Girl, I go higher than the weekend's full stop. Baby, I move on your life. Move on your life. Move on your life. You think about me? No. Back to the people you love. Yeah. Back to the people you love. Think about me. Back to the people you love. Back to the people you trust. Back to the people you love. Back to the people you love.
I don't know what to do. I don't know if I have an enemy. There are so many out there. How can I say goodbye to all of them?
Now you listen to me. All these people up there, it's your job. It's your duty to say goodbye to each and every single one of them. All those people that used to look down on you, that used to talk about you. Now you're bigger than them. And I know it's tough, and I know it's hard, and I know you only got 2 hands to say goodbye with. But from this point forward, let me tell you something. You've got 2 more. You've got 2 more.
Life is short. If you sad, then step to your left.